window, and we're just chatting among. It's so great.
All right, there we go. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. That's muted for Zoom, not muted for us. We're cool.
Okay.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the folks on Twitch, and welcome to everybody in our studio audience, our incredibly enthusiastic studio audience. Woo! We are here with episode 32, day 32 of Wilderland Adventures, Darkness in the Marshes, Adventures of Middle-earth, sponsored by Cubicle 7. Before we get there, I will mention to everybody that this is being broadcast live and in living color from CanCon 2018, so many thanks to Brandon Crilly and Marie Bilodeau and Derek Kunskin and all the wonderful people at CanCon for making this available and giving us a room to be able to do this in. I'm not alone. It's not just me speaking to you in the void. I actually am joined by people. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. Before I get there, you folks know the ways to support the stream. Please make sure to check out the YouTube channel with !ArvTube, the shop with !ArvShop, the Discord with !ArvCord, the Twitter. Please retweet this stream with !Tweet. And please let everybody know about the Patreon, which is !Arvtron, which allows you to inspire the players. And lastly, that sub button right above the video window, which you can hit as well. Now, we are here live and in person, and I see that we've got some people like Kerflop and Shadowed Mage and King Jin and folks like that, and Echo and a bunch of other people. So thank you, everybody who's here. You are joined by a wonderfully enthusiastic group that does not at all include any of Amal's students.
No,
definitely not. That is not the case. But we are excited to bring you some Wilderland adventures. And so with no further ado, I'm going to bring us over, but I'm going to unmute myself here. I'm going to unmute myself here, so I'm now talking. And then I'm going to unmute them, maybe. There we go. I'm going to unmute them. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to go over to dun. All right, there we are. There is the party assembled and ready and here. And I think I mostly got it right, except Will's camera's a little weird. But that's what happens when I'm trying to do this with all these stuff. We'll get it fixed up. It's pretty close.
Quite dark.
I think that's pretty close.
Aren't we?
Not really.
No.
We can. I mean, I can up the ante on that if I need to.
That's cool. I mean, from where I'm looking, I look like a cool silhouette, which is absolutely fine by me.
Let's see. That may be the case. I don't need low light compensation. Oh wait, yes, I do need. I do need low light compensation. Okay. I don't need autofocus though, because that's going to make. No, I got to get rid of that.
This is all part of the show.
What'd you say?
This is all part of the show.
It's all part of the show. This is all part of the mix. Okay. And brightness. Let's get the brightness up to compensate. There we go. All right, now I should be moving at relatively normal. Yes, I am. Okay, now we do the same thing for...
This is actually an OBS tutorial that you've come to watch.
This is, from where I'm sitting, this looks tremendously complex. That you've got things that are levels, and when I speak, they happen, and this is all audio, my alternate webcam.
Okay,
wow.
There's the webcam. Now we will fix your... We'll fix your video right now.
I'll just look directly into the camera while you do this. That won't be weird at all.
There we go, brightness. Now that's better. Now we can
Hooray.
actually see, I think, a little bit better.
A little bit. Of course, I chose to wear extremely dark clothing
That's
and
right.
makeup during this, but...
So we're here, we've got our technical stuff solved. Now I'm going to have to remember to look up at you and all this. Yeah, we are here live and in person, and I am going to start by having the players introduce themselves. Trendane all the way from the wonderful state of California in the United States. Tren, how are you? How's life? Please introduce yourself, and if you could tell the folks in the studio audience who might not know who you are and what character you're playing, that would be lovely.
No.
So please.
Okay, fine. Since you asked so nicely, my name is Trent Sparks. I'm a professional voice actor personage. As I was telling these fine folks, it is really weird to see you without a hat. I just want to make that.
Yes.
Wait,
and
what?
with that, he's not wearing a hat.
Oh shit, he's not.
He has a head? What the?
I know. It's just.
I don't grow down from my hat. No, that's okay. Thanks, though. Thanks.
So anyway, like I was telling these fine folks, the guy above me and all the folks down there, I went to Baja Fresh today, and I had a lovely grilled chili lime shrimp salad, and it was wonderful. And recently, my vote by mail ballot showed up, so I'm going to cause some trouble.
Outstanding.
Yes, I thought so as well. And as for me, like I said, I'm a voice actor person, and
What?
Better? Does it make you feel better?
Why this?
It's an Alouettes hat. I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know. It was trying to be Canadian.
Oh, so Brahms's hat is not your hat.
No.
That was Brahms. I see.
No, I didn't
I was
bring
like,
my
but
hat.
that hat was lovely. Why wouldn't you? Never mind. I just realized now that it's not your own. Sorry. Please continue, Trad.
okay. And so I am playing a Beorning named Tonnebear, the Hearthminder, who is has kind of let go of his childhood rage, and after the Battle of Five Armies, and has basically become a pacifist and a healer. And he does everything in his power not to fight and just to make people feel better, even in the dungeons of.
It was just a dream.
It was just a dream.
It was just a dream.
Although we missed a golden opportunity to point out that despite all his rage, he's still just a bear in a cage.
So,
I'm
moving
so
on.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's quality
I love
work.
that. Yeah.
Thank you, Trent. I'm looking forward to
You
seeing
have
what.
to laugh at my jokes, guys.
You-
That's the whole point of like coming to support me.
I'm looking forward to what Tawny Bear has to do today, Trent. Always good to see you, as always. And we are also joined again this week by the return of Will Jones. Will has returned. Hello, Will. So yeah, for the fine people both at home and here live, who the hell are you, and who are you playing, sir?
My name is Will Jones. I'm a D&D sex icon, and
Actually, why did I laugh? That could be true. I don't know.
He's been saying that for years. He's determined to make that a tagline at all
True.
costs.
Hey.
True.
if you look on the Wizards of the Coast website and you search for Will Jones, it says that he is commonly regarded as a D&D sex icon. I'll send you a link.
I googled that.
I may or may not have written that bio myself.
Will, I was just going to say, Alan, I need to talk to you about created bios by this elf.
What can I say? I will be playing Robar Staunton, who is a Dunedain ranger, who is very much embracing his childhood angst, and he's going with it. He's got his new ability, which means I can reveal my bloodline as I am descended from kings.
They wanted to do this to you last session. What did they want? What did you want to reveal his royalty to?
No.
The gnats.
Oh, the
They
gnats.
wanted to.
The locusts or whatever.
There was locusts, and,
Yeah.
and Amal's like, we needed to just reveal his royalty. Like, insects,
Yes.
steal my royalty.
Just to get them to
Yeah.
scatter in fear.
Where the wind blows in my hair and I look like Aragorn for like 20 seconds.
Can I just tell you, Googling Will Jones sex icon pulls up a YouTube video saying music icon Tom Jones remains sex symbol.
Not
You're the
unusual.
same. That's me.
That's you, is
That's
it?
me.
Yeah.
That's the guy.
Yeah, you had to change your name because like people were hounding you.
Yeah.
No,
that's
but
exactly
I'm
right.
looking at the
Tom
Wizards of the
Jones.
Coast website
I'm
right
doing-
now, and it
I'm
really
doing
says
Tom
that.
Jones.
It
And
really
we were
does.
listening to
He
Tom
actually
Jones.
does.
We were listening to Tom Jones on the way back from Baja Fresh, so it all comes back.
So it all comes
Aw.
back together. So you were playing Robar Staunton, one
Yes.
of the Dunedain. And by the way, you besides being a D&D sex icon, what's your day job besides that? I mean,
That is-
that's obviously your night job. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
I moonlight as a. Yeah, no. I'm a professional role-playing game streamer and producer running Counter Roleplay, and we do live streams like this as well. So this is a nice vacation from my day job.
It's good to see you, Will, as always. Great pleasure. I look forward to seeing how Robar handles the new environment in which he will find himself, which we'll talk about in a minute. But first, down to, of course, Terry Toons, who it is an ungodly hour where she is. She's coming to us live, folks, from Germany. So can we get a round of applause for the getting up at the... Yeah. So Terry, for the fine folks at home and for the fine folks here live, can you tell them who you are and who you're playing?
So I'm a very tired German person. I occasionally draw things that I put my drawings on the internet. My name is Tari Toons, more commonly known as Britta, which is my mortal name, as they say.
I don't think I even knew that.
Huh?
I don't.
I'm not sure
I
you've
thought
revealed
your
that
real
before
name was
now.
Terry.
I knew that, but I don't know if you'd revealed that before.
No, it's Britta.
We don't know any. Wait, Greg has a head. Terry isn't actually.
Terry
called
is a name. Like, what
Fuck
is
is
this nonsense?
I totally just started calling you Tari in my head. I didn't think that you had any other name beyond that. This is
just like, like Tari is just like my artist name.
You're just like a woodsman. You're just like a
Everybody
woodsman with a
knows
secret
me,
name.
Like for my art stuff calls me Tari. Like that's like the thing.
Tari.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
And you are playing?
I am playing Inge, daughter of Ida. She is a dwarf from the Erebor, and she wasn't born there. Like her parents are from there. She's like a bit too young to have been born there, but she has lived there after Smaug died, and the kingdom under the mountain was recovered, I guess.
And I wanted to just say, by the way, that
there, so she left again, and now she is traveling with this ragtag group of misfits.
yeah, and I wanted to say, by the way, that all of these icons that you folks can see up here are drawn by Terry. So this is actually Inga. This is Amal's character, the River.
Yep.
This is her dog that can never be touched or hurt in any way, Stone.
Yes.
And this
That's his
is
superpower.
Tawny Bear, that's Trendane's character. And last we have Robar Staunton, who is the Liam Neeson character, and that's Will's
I
character
keep
right
forgetting that Robar is blonde.
So,
I don't imagine.
Well, because
he's
he's got the
blonde.
hood all the time, right?
Yeah.
So he's
I'm
got
described to with various different hair colors. I'm sure.
he's red-haired.
So good.
So, but anyway, so Terry did the amazing illustrations and drawing for this.
Right.
I don't actually think I have the crew, the AME crew picture on this rig, but I've tweeted it out a bunch of times so you folks can see it. It's pretty amazing stuff. So, cool. Thank you, Terry. I'm very excited to see what Inga does. And last but certainly not least, we have someone who is live and in person. Please, everyone applaud for the special guest, Amal Elmatar is here. Amal, always a pleasure. So they all know who you are, but, can you introduce yourself again and all that?
So I'm Amal. I write stuff. I write short stories and poetry and criticism for the New York Times and for NPR. So the criticism is for them, the short fiction and poetry is for various places. And I am going to be playing a character, a woodsman of Rosgobel named the River. And River, accompanied by her faithful dog Stone, wander the Wilderland, being of aid to those in need and so on. And she is a warden of heraldic expression. I always say warden of heraldic expression. That's just like probably too much of the book. But nevertheless, she's a warden. She's a fighty bard. That's what she is.
I'm excited to have that. Is it? Oh, that's.
Are you watching a YouTube video? No. While we're recording a
You're
YouTube
watching
video?
a stream.
Oh.
You're watching our stream live. Okay.
But-
I was like Inception. I was
But
like,
we're here.
This shows you the power of Twitch. Well, anyway, it is a pleasure to have my players with me again, and I'm going to explain to the folks in the audience who don't know what this is, and as well to the folks who might be new to this at home on Twitch, what we're doing. So, this is Adventures of Middle-earth. This is set in the world of J.R.R. Tolkien, and it is set in the Wilderland, which is roughly speaking that space between the Misty Mountains to the west and the mountain of Erebor to the east. So, Mirkwood, the Long Lake, Dale, the Lonely Mountain, all of that stuff that you may be familiar with, all the way down to the Gladden Fields and Dwimmerhorn, and all the way up to Gundabad and all that stuff in the north. All of that is part and parcel of the setting that we do here. The time period is 5 years after, or at least when we started it, it was 5 years after the fall of Smaug and the Battle of Five Armies. So this is basically after the desolation of Smaug has been somewhat cleared. Bard is the lord, the king in Dale again. Jirian is being rebuilt, and all of the, or I should say Jirian's wishes are being upheld as Dale is rebuilt. And so that's sort of the setting that we found ourselves in. Now, that was actually in game terms a couple of years ago, because the party has been through a series of adventures that I won't go through now. If you go to my YouTube channel, you can see all of the past broadcasts of the stream, in which they were trying to track down a bunch of things and was brought together, etc. What brought Amal's character, the River, together with them was an adventure in which they had been sent to rescue a wayward halfling who was the leader of this inn. Well, he is okay. It's his brother that's the problem, right? They went to rescue a guy named Dindy Brandybuck. And Dodie Brandybuck was the one that they were sort of not so wild about. But Dindy Brandybuck they went to rescue. They found underneath in these great underground warrens where he had been taken slain by these goblins. They managed to rescue him thanks to some tremendous performances by Inga. Her disguise was truly epic. And then the party managed to escape after blowing up most of the Warrens, literally walking away from the explosions like a boss. Several bosses. And so they were able to do that. What has gradually been happening, though, over the last few adventures is this sense of growing threat, of growing shadow. And in the last adventure, the party really experienced that when they were escorting an elfin princess named Irame from Mirkwood over to the eastern side of the Murky Mountains, the Misty Mountains, where they were going to be meeting two of Elrond's household. While they were there, they were ambushed by orcs. They were rescued by eagles. That's all really super awesome.
That was
they
really
were rescued.
cool.
They were rescued by eagles, and they were given friendship by the Lord of the Eagles, in fact. But on the other side of that, once that had all happened, they found themselves entrapped within a dream. Irame was battling some shadowy force that she did not know, and they were trapped in the dream with her. They were brought in that dream into the dungeons of Dol Guldur, basically the dungeons of the Necromancer. They faced great peril, great sorrow, and in fact, they have not fully recovered from that experience, especially Inga, who is really, really suffering with the points of shadow that she has felt from this despairing moment. The only one who is totally free of this is Tawny Bear, because, as he continues to remind everybody,
it was a dream.
Right, so that was the thing. Nobody else believed that. No, they all believed it. It was just a really, really real dream. Anyway, they came out on the other side of that, and as this adventure began, the party was summoned by Radagast the Brown, one of Gandalf's order, a wizard, and was asked to investigate what it is that has sort of led to this growing shadow. But there are personal problems for the party as well. First of all, we have the character of Robar Staunton. His family, which has been out of favor and out of power for some time now, apparently his sister has returned and has basically been leaving cryptic messages and asking him to come and help her rebuild, and so Robar has been trying to track her down. Speaking of family, the character of the river was just back visiting Roscabel, where she had originally left to seek adventure, also mostly because she had felt that her doom was upon her. She wanted to be able to go out and experience the world, first of all, before that happened, and secondly, not to bring the doom on anyone else. When she returned to Roscabel, she found that part of her fears might have come true in that her father was missing and apparently has been taken by some force that is unclear, living in a place nearby called the Elven Tower. Radagast, however, prevailed on her not to go to the tower immediately, but to go instead and to try to seek out the source of what is causing this corruption, and to do so by going to the Mountain Hall, which is on the eastern side of Mirkwood and is essentially a woodman stronghold, helpfully built many years before that by both woodmen and dwarves. And so Inga has traveled there in her youth with her parents, and therefore is familiar a little bit with some of this area. And so as we begin our tale, as we pick up here, the party has just arrived at Mountain Hall, has given up their weapons, and so that they can cross over the bridge, and is being led to meet the leader of this place, whose name is Heartfast. And so, with all of that said, we are going to go up here, and I will talk about this. I'm going to move this projector because I can't see what I'm doing.
Okay.
Lovely. That way I can see what I'm doing.
I thought you were going to physically move.
This is why it looks like I keep
thing.
staring at you. It's because I keep looking over at that. It's like, okay. So the party makes its way up this winding path, essentially. This Mountain Hall is itself built into the side of a mountain. And so you have to cross over this stone bridge, which all of you both at home and elsewhere can see right here. And then crossed over the bridge, went up these paths, following the rest of the group. I will, because of the circumstances, move the river and stone. But Tawny and Robar, you guys can manage
ahead.
yourselves. Yeah, you guys can handle that as well. Okay, so you were being led up, remember, by the doorkeeper, who has identified himself as Barinald. And as you come up to this place, the guards that have been trailing along carrying the various weapons that you left have brought things into this house. So they basically peel off at this point, and they bring things into that house, all of the weapons that were brought. By the way, Robar, everyone talked about it and agreed that you would be okay if, as a sign of good faith, all of your weapons were broken in half.
Oh, yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure you were cool with that. I'm lying.
That don't work anyway. I never hit anything.
That's true.
So it's true.
My sword is broken.
But you crossed the Enduin with no problem last time, though. You
Yeah.
crossed the Enduin well.
That's true.
You were
was in a
graceful as
boat.
a swan.
Well, don't take
He's
this
still
away
cast.
from him. Listen, Tawny, don't take that away from him. All right. So as you continue to make your way up, you notice that although everything seems relatively peaceful, the woodmen that you see going from place to place, almost all of whom, by the way, instead of River carrying axes, are pretty much carrying pickaxes and shovels and things that would seem more of the mining category. But all of the ones that you notice seem to be rather intense, might be a way to put it. Not fearful, but as if they're all sort of driven by... They're all rushing with places to go and things to do. Like, we've got to go here, we've got to arrive there, we've got to go here. So there's not a lot of feeling of comfort that you sense in this place, but a lot of maybe anxiety might be the way to describe it. Okay. As you continue to make your way upwards here, and I'm sorry I'm having to do this piecemeal, but again, a little bit different live here. You find yourself coming to this high-ceilinged building here, very large, high roof. With walls of timber, which is here. And you actually know, Inga, from having been here before, that this was the great house of the woodmen of Mountain Hall. And it was famous for being kept warm at all times, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, with at least one of 3 huge fire pits. The woodmen believe that if one of these fires ever goes out, like if the fire always goes out completely, then doom will befall their hall. And so one of the great honors a woodman can receive in Mountain Hall is to be tending this fire at all times. And so you're kind of aware of this because you remember Inga sitting around one of those fires with your parents as they were involved in various trading and things like that. And speaking of trading, by the way, up here, which is number 5 here on the map, is the trading post that sometimes you remember your parents spending some time in as they would go and do some work there. And, most importantly, in the place that you are headed to right now, not that, this down here. There we go. That right there, which is where you're being led to. This looks to be, for those of you who haven't been here, what looks like an entrance to a mine. Now, you know, Inga, that right here, which I'm going to ping on the map, you know that this is the house of the chieftain, traditionally. And yet you're not being led there. You're being led to the mine entrance, which is past the house. And the guards and the doorkeeper have not said anything. They've just been silently leading you forward. But, yeah. So... that strikes you as odd, but you know they're leading you here to this mine entrance, and apparently they're going to lead you into it, into this mine. Party, have anything they want to bring up or mention yet, or not? I'm just curious. You're just being
And they
led somewhere.
call it a mine.
A mine.
Why?
Somebody had to do it.
Yes.
Because we never make that joke.
No,
I-
never. No.
No.
What?
Not even once.
I don't know what that refers to, but
What?
do I want to know what that refers to?
The mine thing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's from
Out of
that's
this
from the film.
moon.
Oh.
It's from the film. It's
You
where he
are
says.
bad.
Oh, they call
They
it.
They
Oh,
call
sorry.
it when they go to Moria.
When they go to
Banish
Moria.
henceforth
That's
from the
right.
kingdom of Rohan.
That's right. That's right. It's all coming back to me now. Yeah. No. So River is as they're being led through here, just kind of gazing at everything
Yep.
and marveling at the strangeness and the difference from what she's used to.
Yep.
Privately thinking to herself that maybe they should be called stone men instead of wood men. But,
I see what you did there.
but privately thinking to herself, not actually saying this out loud. But I think it's starting to, maybe these are just my feelings bleeding over, to feel slightly apprehensive as they're being led to a mine, probably,
Mm-hmm.
but doesn't know the area well enough and to, I think, really be as apprehensive as I am, unless, I don't know, you make a perception roll of some kind to see if, like,
if you wish, you can do that. Well, but what are you trying to figure out?
To perceive the intention, if like.
I would say that's insight.
Insight?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So.
Can I press the button?
Sure. Let's pull up your character, which is right there, and I will
Make sure.
I'll let you
Make
push the
sure
button.
at the bottom of the chat window, you have it set to as the river.
Oh, really? Do
Mhm.
Wait,
Where-
at the bottom of what chat window? Oh, you mean in the?
In roll 20.
Oh, roll 20. Hold on, let me do that.
I? Oh, sorry.
So.
Aha. Oh, are we gonna have to change that every time?
Well.
Depends on. I mean,
I'm
it'll
gonna be
roll no
rolling
matter
myself
what.
separately, so don't worry about
But
it.
Okay.
in retrospect, if you're looking back, you're like, wait, which?
Okay.
Like, if I had to roll as
There you go.
Tawny and Robar,
Right.
it can be difficult to tell which one was what.
Right. Yeah, that's a good
Right.
call.
Good point.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. So rolling insight. Ha! No.
You're like, well, they seem to be. They're,
Everything is so pretty.
Yeah.
It's really
It's beautiful
great.
these days. Yeah,
I'm
no,
gonna write a
you're,
song about how nice and trustworthy these people are.
It,
for
it seems
sure.
totally legit. No problems at all.
Damn it.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, like nothing that you've seen, other than the fact that where you're going suggests anything wrong.
Right.
At least so far. But it is odd. It seems that you're being brought into this mine. Go ahead, Terry.
Like Inga would probably find this very suspicious too. Like, can I also get the roll thing?
Sure. You can make an insight check if you like.
Sweet.
If it's weird enough that she would remark on it, I don't know. But would she remark on it? Hey, that's
There you go.
better.
Hey!
The one thing that you know for
Not
sure,
trusting
oh
this.
my God, what happened to Robar? Robar's been working
Well,
out.
I was
said-
mixing up some potions, and
I got really swole.
Did not
look it
skip.
up.
You did not skip leg day. Okay.
There's
It's
two
after,
of them.
it's after dark, and I find myself wanting to make a different caliber. of
Yeah,
gun.
I
I
know.
saw.
I know.
But, yeah.
So,
Plan.
what you notice, Inga, is that it doesn't seem like, I mean, that you don't like sense anyone sort of to jump out of the character for a moment, Captain America Winter Soldier in the elevator thing. Like, you don't see any beads of sweat rolling down. It's nothing like that. But you do get the sense that they are very determinedly leading you into the mine, as if, that's where they were instructed to bring you. So presumably whoever sent them for you, which apparently was allegedly Hardfast, would actually, or, if anyone is there to see me, come bring them to me. This is where presumably he would be. That's what you would say. But could be wrong, and maybe they're going to ambush you and kill you. But that's the breaks, and it was a good campaign. I'm just joking.
So long as Stone gets away, it's all fine.
Yeah,
Sure,
exactly.
you're joking.
He's
You are.
fine. Okay. So yeah.
Yeah, like Inga just like, she raised an eyebrow, but she's like, rolling with it for now.
Okay.
Because they're gonna have their reasons, probably.
They do their thing.
They do their thing. It's so weird, anyways.
It is odd. But the entrance actually, as you go in, leads into one of the mines that worm their way into the mountain's roots. Now,
Actually, quick question.
Sure.
Before we get to the mines, as we're passing these buildings, are the guards like actually communicative?
no.
No?
I mean, they're not sort of going, here's this. I mean,
Oh, okay.
they could be. If you spoke to them, they might answer.
Well, I was gonna say, like, as
You're
she's
right.
passing,
You see this
it's actually totally something River would do to be like, oh, what is this building as we are passing by?
Okay.
it?
Yeah, they're willing to sort of acknowledge that, this is that's the chieftain's hall. Back there you saw was the Great Hall, that sort of thing. They don't give you any details that I've given you. That information is stuff that Inga would know,
Okay.
because she's been here. But the rest of it is just what they sort of tell you as the basics.
Hmm.
They don't tell you anything about the mine, but you figure out quickly enough what that is.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
when you go into this mine, by the way, these are, by Woodman standards, extensive excavations. They are pretty dramatically impressive. In fact, as you go in, you're like, wow, I've never seen anything like this. From your point of view, Inga, like, these are a child's scratchings. Like, this is so cute. Like Fisher Price, my first mine. Like it's all right. But the Woodman right by the mine entrance, there are a bunch of reeds and rushes that have been dried and bundled up near the entrance. And the Woodmen get a bunch of these, tie them together, and then kindle them as torches. And you can now see that these are very active, sort of slow burning torches that they carry in their hands, and they bring you down into the mine. The walls and the floor are slick with water, and there are icy drops that fall from above. You can hear them echoing in the puddles as you walk along. The torchlight makes the walls glitter as you enter into these mines. Mostly, as you recall, Inga, from your time here, the mines mostly dealt with useful metals like copper and tin and iron and occasionally gold. But forget about, mithril or like the mainstays of what the dwarves would be doing. It has always been the dream of the mountain folk to strike mithril, but they have yet to do so. The tunnels wind on and on and on, and you actually descend several flights of stairs until you come to a larger cave. And there, 4 burly mountain folk stand with their ears pressed against the far wall. And one of the folk turns to greet you. You see this person, he looks almost like the Misty Mountains himself, if you could sort of see them in human form. He has these craggy features, he is absurdly tall, he has a wild shock of white hair, he has golden amulets that are braided into his gray beard. He looks as if he's been here about as long as the mountains, but still, although he walks with, he has a stout little walking staff with him that he kind of holds on to, but he does not bow, he does not bend, and his eyes are keen. And as he comes in, he sort of doesn't say anything, and he waits for Barinald, who says, who bows slightly to him and says, "My lord, I've brought them as requested." And Hardfast says, "So I see. Send them out." And he seems to be speaking to the guards. The guards kind of retreat to a respectful distance. And Hardfast stands with his arms folded and looks down at all of you and says, "All right, you have come to me. What do you want?"
Quick question.
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm
Well,
kidding.
it's your fault if that's reed mace you guys are burning. Because we're all going to get high and violent.
That was totally my thought, actually. I genuinely was thinking that. It's funny.
I was like, wait, reeds? What? These cattail prawns are burning because it's reed mace, and we're all going to be like coked out and crazy.
I'm up for it.
That's how you take it. You burn it and you smoke it, and it's just not a good idea to make a torch out of it. Anyway, no, that was my question.
Wait, was that your question?
That was really your question? Was just about reading it?
Did I just say that? Was
Okay,
my
I didn't
question?
know. I sometimes I can't tell, Trent. No, it was
Well, that was it?
it is not reed mace from what you can tell.
Okay,
They look
good.
like they are just dried rushes. You don't actually even see cattails among the mix. But it looks like they were
Okay.
gathered from outside. Remember, the stream rushes down from out of the mountains into that little, grassy, marshy area. So somewhere from there.
Actually, did we pass the stream at any point along the way?
Yes, you went over it.
Did it still look the same as it did down below? Because you mentioned when we're just starting to head up, where we ran into the locusts and whatnot, that the stream looked odd.
Here
That
this looks much cleaner and fresher, stronger. It doesn't seem to be tainted in any way up here, no.
Okay.
So whatever that is may be more in the marshes themselves, but not so much in the mountains.
Our clothes.
So Hardfest looks down and basically says, "What do you want?"
Wait,
I also
is this an audience? Are we beginning an audience, or?
You may in fact be beginning an audience.
All right. Well, so River steps forward.
Wait.
What? What?
Tally had something.
Oh, sorry.
What's up, Terry?
Oh, I went quiet again. No, my question was that does Inge know Hardfast, and vice versa?
Yes. Yes to both.
Yes.
Now, Hardfast does not acknowledge you, but you, having remembered Hardfast does not usually acknowledge people. He is a stern, not kind man. He's not cruel, but he has always been sort of concerned with keeping his folk together and living, and that has a tendency to kind of weather a man, as it were. And so
Lawful good, not lawful nice. Yes.
You're correct, not lawful nice. So he does not acknowledge you, but he also doesn't, tell you to get the hell out. He just is.
And I mean,
so.
I
Okay,
think
no. I'm
River,
just wondering if she recognizes him.
Yes, she does.
Given
He
the
looks
fact-
exactly the same as he did years ago, by the way. Sorry, go ahead.
Given
Really,
that
he has not aged in 15 years.
Doesn't look like it. He looked this exact old 15 years ago.
yeah,
That's how he is.
given that Berendal and Inga recognized each other, River is pretty confident that Inga is aware of who this is, and kind of glances at Inga first to see if there's recognition there, before stepping forward to introduce everyone and bows to him according to the person who she just saw doing that as well, and says, what is the appropriate address here? Did he say my lord? Whatever.
He said my lord. You could probably use that.
Right.
My lord would probably be fine.
Right. So she'll say, greetings, my lord. I am the River of Roscobel, and these are my traveling companions, and goes on to name everyone because I hate getting it wrong when I try to do it, but she names everyone, but ends with Inga saying, and Inga, daughter of Ida, who perhaps is known to you as she lived here some years ago. And we are here on...
Been here, not lived here.
Sorry?
She's like has traveled here, like has
traveled
never
here.
lived here.
Yeah, she will say it correctly. But who has spent time here some years ago. And we've been sent here by Radagast the Brown to ask you of strange doings in these lands. We ourselves, while traveling here, have encountered many unsettling things, and we hoped to be able to speak to you and those here of those things and see what we might learn.
So at this point, I will mention that the reason they asked about if this is audience, if this is official, is because there is actually a mechanic in Adventures in Middle-earth called audiences. And it relies on one's sort of experience of the person in question, and sometimes there are racial things that come into play, and racial bigotries and other such things that come into play. And so what Amal's going to do is going to make what we call a traditions check, in which he will be this introduction to the group. We're going to see how it actually is received by Heartfast, and that will play into what happens during the course of this meeting. So I will pull up I'll pull this up, and actually anyone in the group can do it, but I'm assuming you folks want the other woodman to do it, but it certainly would be appropriate if Inga wanted to do it also instead of...
Nah.
No? Okay.
No, like your parents always used to do the talking, so...
And the background here, too, is that when they were asked to check their weapons at the entrance, they were going to make an exception for the woodsman of the party. There does seem to be a bias towards woodsmen here, but the River wasn't cool with that, and so handed over her axes anyway.
Yep.
Okay, so traditions.
Traditions.
Tradition.
All right, what do we got? Oops,
Oh,
sorry.
God.
Back to the thing.
Oh God! No! Why? Why is this happening?
So
Just to explain to our live audience, we always go with what's on the left, unless we are rolling at advantage, which allows you to choose the higher of the two dice. So this is extremely frustrating, and River is totally spoken with good accent and good discretion, but oh well.
So Hardfest kind of looks down on looks down at you and sort of says, sort of waits as he's considering what happens, and he says, "So you bring me news from the outside?" He's kind of staring at you. So all of what you said, he like arrow cut all of it and was like, "You bring me news."
Yes. We could speak more of it, in fact, if you would hear of it.
He says, "Well, I may have heard about things that are there, yes. There's something afoot down south in the Gladden Fields. There's always trouble in those parts, around Dwimmerhorn, but I pay it little heed. I got worries close to home."
Indeed. What manner of worries, if we may ask?
He sort of looks at you, he says, "Come." He turns around and points at the rock wall. And
River
the
will
three,
follow.
Okay.
Yeah.
And anyone else, he sort of is bidding, he's like beckoning to all of you. So do all of you go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Step over that way, but like,
Yeah.
Okay. So,
I'm wondering, how high are the ceilings here? Like, can Tony stand upright here?
I mean, but
yes,
there are
This
roofs.
is a big no.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, for you, this is like not a big deal, Inga. But for most of the folks, this is a pretty big mine, and there's pretty good sized roofs that are here. There are smaller tunnels that you saw, but not where you're standing.
Oh, I just meant I was shocked that there were actually roofs on buildings in the mountain. That seemed a little strange. But yeah.
Yep. No, they have roofs inside there. Well, remember, you've always got.
Wait, we are already
moisture.
in a cave thing.
Now you are.
All these buildings are. I thought we were like on the side of the mountain or something, and they like built it like.
Well, so some of the buildings are outside, and the bridge that you crossed over was still outside. But then when you get farther in, it's covered over. Right. But even if you were inside the mines, honestly, a roof would still be of value because of the various moisture and things like that. So, so when he beckons you over, and he puts his head right up against the wall, as if he wants you to do the same thing.
River does this.
Okay. And is anyone else?
Actually, in fact, she'll kind of like look at Stone as well, just to see if he also is gonna.
Stone's like. Right.
Good dog. Good dog.
And sort of leans up against it. And what you hear is, let's hope I can get the right sound.
Caw-caw!
You hear, you hear, as Trent would say, Blagavkas, no. You hear.
Never say that.
You hear. There's a tapping sound from far in the distance. But you can hear a tapping sound, a regular, maybe even a hammering sound in the distance there. And Hardfast looks at you and says, "Goblins. They dig in search of our mine shafts and tunnels. They want to find a secret entrance into my hall. We've killed many on the surface, but they're more dangerous down here in the dark, and the noise gets louder day by day." And you still hear this.
Wow. Is this an? I mean.
Ooh, maybe this is better. No, damn it.
Here, like this.
Can I?
Oh, rubber.
Anyway, you get the idea.
Can I get a roll to like identify how far away the sounds are? Since like.
Yes, make a perception check for me, but you can do this at advantage, Inga.
Sweet.
Advantage, by the way, to folks who don't know, means they're rolling twice, and they take the higher of the two results, and that laughter probably means bad things.
No.
Oh no,
I
it means
don't
good
need
things.
Advantage.
Oh,
Yay!
see, I don't need advantage. Listen to that. Wow. So you're like, was that a
20.
crit?
No.
No, just a regular 20. So what it sounds like to you is that it's hard to say exactly, but probably they're still, several thousand feet away from this wall. But what you can hear from your excellent roll is that there's an echoing to it. In other words, wherever they're coming from, their room on their side is large too.
Oh.
So they've
Can I make like an educated guess on like how long it would take them to get through here?
That would not without knowing on how like distant it was, and you can ask Hardfast that if you wish.
Okay, so like Inga turns to Hardfast and goes. It sounds like they are like in a larger hall themselves.
He says, "I know. My concern is they've hollowed it all out. God only knows what they've got down there, like roaches waiting to come through."
Is this something that is sort of expected to be a usual problem in Mountain Hall? No, this is really unusual.
Not anymore. Remember, 5
Right.
years ago, the assumption was that they had driven the goblins in the Battle of the Five Armies back to their strongholds of Gundabad and back into the Misty Mountains and all that. They killed the Great Goblin and so forth. So the fact that there are goblins coming out here, especially going to what is widely considered to be one of the most strongly fortified,
Right.
fortresses, strongholds here, is
Very
unusual and concerning.
And this is where was the spot that we first met where we rescued Dindy?
That was farther north than this.
Okay.
Let's see. So, let me bring you over to.
Loading planar transport. I really love the. Thing.
It's not blurry, I promise. Give it a second. Resolve. Get. Focus. There we go.
There we go.
So right now, you folks are right about, let's see, there's the mountain pass, so it's south of here. So you're somewhere around here. I'm not going to bring the players over because I don't, but.
Wait, really? No,
yeah.
We're in
so you're
Mountain
far
Hall.
south. No, that's Mountain Pass.
No, aren't we in Mountain Hall?
I don't think, wait. maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing.
Where
Yeah,
the
I can't
pink
see.
line
I can't
is.
see.
Okay,
Sorry.
sorry, yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
So we're up to the north. So you're there right now. Where you originally rescued Dindy was up here near the high pass where you came down in the old ford.
Okay.
So it was somewhere around there,
Right.
like around here.
Okay.
And this is where you are right now.
Okay. So River, remembering this, says that that was like 2 years ago now, right?
At least a year and a half. Yeah.
River, clearly very troubled by this, frowns and says, almost 2 years ago, we routed a group of goblins, a large gathering of goblins close to the high pass. They were underground and they seemed to be preparing for something. They seemed to be building weapons and gathering strength and mustering for some great battle, and I wonder now if this was part of that.
He shrugs and he says, I'm pleased to hear that you routed them, but there's always more. If they were gathering for war, it may be they've decided to make this their first place of invasion. I would have thought we could have held them back. Perhaps we still can. But I lose men seemingly every other day. It means it's difficult to be outside our places and our homes attending to anyone out there. We've got problems right here.
Well, we must get this information to Radagast. Perhaps he'd be able to send some kind of help, if not come himself.
And he shrugs and he says, if you mean Radagast the wizard, he is perhaps a good fellow as far as wizards go, I believe. But I am not convinced that Radagast and the wizards have real interest in what we do here. They are off dealing with their larger problems. I've asked for help before. I've been told someone would be sent before. And yet, people still die, and the goblins still come.
River finds herself looking at Tawny in a kind of like, warnings? But glances at him before looking back to Fast to say, of whom have you asked aid in the past?
He says, I've sent messengers to try to speak to Radagast, but it's very difficult to find a wizard when he doesn't want to be found. Moreover, I've tried to ask for help from the people of Rosgobel. Sometimes they've sent one or two, other times no response at all. You're the first that I've seen from Rosgobel that isn't interested in trading and running for some time, and I am disappointed.
River, without actually showing any of her feelings at this remark, says, Rosgobel is beset with troubles as well. There is a necromancer to the south who has been... It is necromancer. They were talking about necromancer, right?
Well...
In the Elven
yes,
Tower?
Yes, but not,
yeah.
Well, right, but they don't. It's hard to believe that it's the same necromancer,
right.
But it some force that pledges allegiance
right.
to the necromancer.
The Elven Tower to the south of Rosgobel has been taken over by some power which has been eroding our walls and stealing our livestock and our people. We too are in need of aid, and we're trying to find alliances where we can to fight what we can. In fact, coming here is to see whether or not all of these different problems might have some common root or some common cause that we might learn from each other and better fight our foes.
My lord, if I may be so bold, we have met with Radagast and we are here. So, in a matter of speaking, your aid has been answered.
He says, I see. And so you, a member of the Dunedain, have come to aid us. I am surprised, though. My understanding was the Dunedain had their own concerns also. It makes me wonder how much is coming to help us, and how much is you coming to ask help from us. And he kind of stares you down. Now, I need to mention that the staring down is not necessarily look like he's trying to be aggressive, but very much more just like...
He's a bit extra.
What's up? Like,
He's-
you know.
Yes, resting bitch face.
It's,
Yes.
you know what? Now that I've got this ability, it's so tempting just to reveal my.
You just want to reveal
power to
royalty.
everyone just to win points. Well, you know what? Cape.
Let me tell you something. No, do you have any actual response to that? Remark?
No.
So,
I'd say to him, I haven't asked you for anything, my lord.
he says, perhaps the day, however, is young and the sun is low in the sky as of yet. And then he says, if you have questions of me, information you seek, I will do what I can. But as far as helping you beyond that, again, my concerns keep me here. If you would seek what is wrong in this area, if you would seek this darkness that Radagast speaks of, your best choice to begin with is the Dwimmerhorn itself. Now, all of you have heard this term Dwimmerhorn before, but especially the river and, well, I would say probably everybody except maybe Tawny might have actually traveled near or been around there. I'm not sure if you would have gotten down there or not that far, Inga, but definitely Robar would have. And the river would have seen it and heard about it before. Dwimmerhorn, the old fort made by evil folk, sitting on a stony hillock up there in the mountains, like a giant staring at its prey. At least it usually does. Dwimmerhorn moves of its own accord, they say, never in the same place twice. We believe the fort was built by servants of the Necromancer years ago, curse his name. It's been abandoned by the enemy several times, and it was abandoned years ago after the defeat of the Great Dragon. But it draws dark things to itself at all times. It is never empty for long. The last I knew, it was in the western part of the Gladden Fields. There's others who might be able to lead you to it. That puffed-up traveler Magric, for instance. It's been past there, so he claims. If you wish to find where evil lurks in this area, the Dwimmerhorn would be the place to begin. But how the Dwimmerhorn ties into these goblins, or the ones trying to break through my halls, I cannot say.
How far is the Dwimmerhorn from here?
So, we will jump over here to show that. Okay, and for this I actually will bring everyone over.
That's how it happens.
And this is why I can never do it all in one piece, because I got so many damn maps. All right.
So what is a Dwimmerhorn?
It's a like the spot on a hill. It's
Okay.
like is it the barrows, like where the barrow
A
whites
little bit
are?
like it's more like a
the-
fortress though. It's
Okay.
it's a sort of bigger kind of fortress, but it's in
Oh.
the same. It's in that ballpark. Okay, so as I zoom in, the Dwimmerhorn is somewhere in the Gladden Fields now.
No, the south.
Yes, to the south. Now, the south, as we know, is not so great in AME terms. Remember, the bandits that you dealt with in one of the earlier chapters came supposedly from the south, crossed over the River Gladden and into the forest from here. The Gladden Fields, although they are not as bad as the marshes to the south of the Long Lake or marshes elsewhere, the dead marshes, they are pretty bad. They are a deep, marshy area where bogs are treacherous, where the gnats are frequent and numerous, and
The mostly
where
dead marshes.
the mostly dead marshes, and where the wisps wander looking for travelers to lure to their doom. The Dwimmerhorn, according to what he describes, was somewhere over here. But again, according to legend, now you don't know whether this is true, this may just be a nonsensical superstition, but it moves around, always somewhere within the Gladden Fields. It's not a great journey to get down there. This is already a little dangerous, as you folks already know, and then when you get over here into the West Nethervales and Gladden Fields, that's not so great. And Hartfest, as he's sort of talking a little bit about this, says, "We had some hunters who came to Mountain Hall to trade, but they haven't been seen in several weeks. Something may have happened to them in the marsh. If I had time and men to spare, I would look into the matter, but I don't have right now." And he looks over at you, Inga, and he says, "And you, I remember you from when you were younger, here with your parents. Do you have strategies to deal with underground combat? How I could shore up this wall?" And he looks at you as sort of curiously. He doesn't seem to be sarcastic. He looks like he's actually like, what, as if he's asking a mechanic, how would you fix this car?
Okay, so like the thing is, like Inge did not grow up underground, so like she has literally like lived underground for like maybe 10 years, like
do you
I
want
don't
to
know,
tell him
5
that?
years or something in like the Iron Hills.
Do you want to tell him that?
5 years in in the Erebor.
Right.
So I don't know how, like, if there's like anything like comparable that would have happened there to that here. Like, I don't know if they have any like.
There would have been a lot of cleanup of Smog's crap.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But
And I also
like,
think
you know,
if you've
like
got...
I'm just like thinking like, do they like have any like, let's call them rat infestations there?
But also if they've got because you've also got stonemasonry and all that sort of thing, right? Like you can make
Yes.
educated guesses probably as to what, like, right? Like
Yep.
in terms of
Well,
looking
like
at
the
stuff.
thing is, she like basically builds houses. That's like what she did like most of the time. It does like reparations and stuff when she was like traveling with her parents because they were basically like
Yeah.
wandering.
It's a transferable skill, right? I mean, you had job retraining. It's fine.
No,
Yeah.
I'm just like asking you, or if like she would have run into anything comparable before the circumstances, like in the Iron Hills or
You...
the Erebor.
What I would say about that is yes, and this is to sort of go along with what Tren just said. This is a rather sad, unfortunate comment, but you would have known it because you spent some of your time finding the dead that had fought the goblins during the battle of armies. They're sort of broiling up like steaming, boiling water from below when it comes to Erebor and elsewhere. So you were familiar with them after the fact as you were doing the dirty work of digging out bodies, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I see.
I believe in Inge's ability
like
to...
character knowledge versus player knowledge.
No, it's
or
not
I know
though.
nothing
No.
about
It's literally a matter of like if she's looking
Right.
and has her skill set, she could probably make those educated guesses.
Right, I wouldn't
think.
say that's player knowledge, Terry. I don't think so.
Okay, no, I'm just like trying to like think of what Inge would say as a response.
Okay.
I have no clue how to deal with this.
I'm just imagining this being an instance of like player knowledge, like you actually are a brilliant stonemason and you know the answers to all the things. But
Terry's out there like, actually carving cartoons onto, the side of boulders and stuff like this. You work in
I
stone,
worked on
right?
something called Speckstein before, like every
See?
kid does it, but
See?
I don't think that counts. Like basically what he wants to know is like how to like deal with like the situation at hand here right now, right? Like
Apparently.
and you like remember that she made that really great perception check, like you kind of have a good sense of I think what is like what the mechanics of this situation are.
I have an idea. So like Inge turns back to Hardfast and goes, well, I mean, if in your shoes, I would probably try to like send men through the tunnels, listening in to like where the sound is the loudest, or like even try to find out where they might be coming from and try to get to them before they can get here. Like maybe even send like scouting parties like into the mountain from like other sides to like try to get an advantage on them.
And he says, if I do that though, aren't I just exposing them to even more attack? We know something about the underground and the mountains, but we're no dwarves. If the goblins find us and come upon us unawares, we'd have difficulty holding up against them down there in the mines.
My lord, in my experience, I found that cutting off the head of these creatures has proved most fortuitous when dealing with them in the past. If we could find the leader, perhaps draw it out, or find whatever hole it is they come crawling from, then a dedicated force who were adept at the slaying of these beasts could perhaps help solve your problem. Without the cleverer, stronger goblins, or maybe even orcs, who knows, then they are cowardly, and you probably do not have the intelligence to find their way to you.
River looks troubled by this, and said, like, I'm just trying to remember now. She did actually hear that instance of those goblins having that argument with each other back when they were with AME, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. In the reeds, you mean?
In
right?
the reeds,
Yeah.
and they were arguing about authority, like they were arguing about
Yep.
And River says, and it, like, was Rabar there? He was with her.
Yes.
They-
Yeah.
Yes, I was-
Rabar heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
River
like how-
says, yeah. So River says, I'm not sure that's true any longer. All of these changes that we're seeing. You remember, Rabar, when we were traveling with the Lady AME, and we came upon those orcs in the reeds. They were arguing about who they owed allegiance to, and they seemed to be speaking not about, a cleverer goblin who was giving them short-term orders. They seemed to be talking about someone organizing them from farther away. I'm not sure that just dealing with this party here will eliminate this problem. It seems
Word
like
of
it might
two
be
goblins.
Hmm?
It's just a word of two goblins. I mean, perhaps there is something darker out there, but
Hardfast sort of listens to
oh,
this.
nothing seems scary.
Hardfast listens to this discussion, then he says, "The truth is that whatever you might have heard, none of this matters if I don't have the men to do it. What I wouldn't give to be able to have some underground combatants." And he looks at you, Inga, and he sort of says, "I wonder. You've traveled for some time. You used to travel here with your parents. I wonder if you still have sway with the dwarves of Erebor. What if I asked you for aid, and sent you to get such aid from the dwarves of Erebor? Would Dane send help if I were in need, or would he turn his back on the mountain folk?" And he looks directly at you, Inga, as he's saying that.
Do the people of Mountain Hall have any personal history with Dine or his people?
They do have personal history with the dwarves of Erebor, yes. They in fact worked with them before in sort of, they were kind of like consultants, the dwarves were for them, and they actually helped them with stuff. So there was a time when they had sort of close relationships with dwarves and sort of rewarded them back and forth. But, mutual suspicion and the problems of one's own borders have kind of cut into those things over in recent years.
Okay, so Inga answers, I cannot speak for my king, but I think asking would still be a wise decision, probably. And I mean, our people have a history of working with each other, especially when the people, my people from the Erebor were wandering these lands without a home. Though I do not know how much King Dine would how he would personally feel about that, but I'm certain that at least certain other dwarves would maybe answer the call, if not on behalf of King Dine himself, but
would Dine deign to help?
obligation.
Sorry, nothing. I'm making a bad joke.
That's Dine.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
No,
Dine
it's
and Gandalf and whatnot.
no, it's Dane. The battle
Dane.
continues.
Dane.
It's Billy Connolly. It's however Billy Connolly.
It's however Billy Connolly says it. So Hardfest listens and says, "Very well. I may perhaps task you with this, if you would be willing. I remember well what it was like for travelers from the dwarves to come and visit, and for them to bring some of their knowledge to us. I would welcome it here, but I cannot send my men to do it. I have not enough, nor would they listen to me as they would a dwarf. I would take it as a favor, and would think upon you kindly if you would take on this task for the future."
like Inga is like really just like, because the thought of her like going home is like
Yep.
not the most thrilling thought to her.
You get the impression that even if he were aware of that, and he probably isn't, he's kind of like whatever, like like is kind of relentlessly just
River
type of thing.
River sort of like sidles closer to Inga and says, "We'd go with you if you wanted."
Well, I'm like Inga's like obviously a bit disturbed by the thought, and it's like, I mean, it is far away through Mirkwood and beyond to the Erebor, but I could try passing on a message if I don't get there. I mean, we do run into like my people occasionally on our travels, so I'm sure I could like send a letter on your behalf.
He says,
to my
"Are
home,
you saying?"
And then have my parents.
So
like,
he cuts you off and he says, "Are you saying no?"
No, I'm not saying no. I'm just saying it would probably be more effective if I just sent a letter instead of going personally. It would probably-
River is just kind of very surreptitiously like, it's extremely subtly somehow elbowing her, being like,
Someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
Remind me, we have the means of contacting Radagast quickly, right? We have we can call a bird.
Yes, although I mean, like, it's not going to be instantaneous, but
No.
But yeah. But then also it doesn't. That no guarantee that he'll send someone or arrive or do whatever.
No,
but yeah.
just to keep him apprised
Yep.
of this. So River says to Heartfast, "Excuse us, just 1 second," and then
Arms folded. He literally doesn't move at all as you just turn away from him. He's just staring so like this.
River turns to Inga and kind of whispers, "Inga, we should do this. We should say yes. And we are going back to Rosgobel as quickly as we can. That's halfway there already. It's is there some other reason you don't want to do this?"
Well, I'm just like thinking, would we make it even in time to the Erebor before like the goblins can break through the mountain?
It's more important that they know that aid is on the way than that we get a message sent quickly which returns a no for an answer. If it means that they're more likely to say yes if someone arrives there in person, then we should make haste to go, shouldn't we?
I suppose you are right.
Now, just to specify, he doesn't seem to be suggesting like go right this instant,
No.
but just like once you're done with whatever, that would be the thing he'd want you to do.
I mean, River's dad is still trapped in a tower.
Right.
Like,
I figured you weren't going to be like.
she's not gonna but in
Like
terms
we have like so many things on our like to-do list.
Yeah,
I got a lot of, there's a lot of question marks on the map,
Now Inga has to go home too. It's like kind of
Yep.
So River also says
is like growing.
It's
Well,
the Witcher
so-
3 map, right? I mean, it's the Witcher 3
Yeah,
map.
we've got
There's like a billion side quests.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
every Ubisoft game of it. Yeah,
but River says also, she says, look, if what we've learned here is telling us that Radagast was right, that there is something else happening. It isn't just a bunch of different incidents taking place independently. Something else is going on, which means sooner or later we are going to have to travel to all these places and try to gather people together to fight something bigger than we are used to. That's what we're going to do with Robar afterwards, aren't we? We're going to try and bring people together to fight whatever is plaguing these places and bringing this shadow. Then I think if anyone is asking for our help, we should say yes.
You have a point, I suppose. This
Persuasion
is just, like,
6,
not my
baby.
forte. I'm just the mason. I'm not, somebody who does like war and things.
River Lou says, but a mason is actually part of what they need here. They need to know more about how to work in these tunnels and these stones. It
You're a
sounds
mason?
I
She makes a secret sign.
Rebug is so that. Me too. How do we know? We're in the same club.
You hear the jingling of bells, not just tapping. You're like, oh wait.
Gosh.
No, and you're just like about like the like artist to the river. I make stones look pretty. I'm not a miner. That's a different thing. I build houses and statues and things. But yes, like we have plenty of miners back home. Then like she like within like the middle of the sentence she turns back to Hardfast.
Who is still
Yeah.
hasn't moved.
Yeah, and she's like, yes, I will bring your message personally.
So you see his look actually softens slightly, and he says, "Good. I'm glad to see that honor still runs in the blood of you as it did for your parents.
Aw.
In exchange, I can tell you that I can give you at least the information that I have. I've already told you most of it, but I know that," and he sort of turns around. Hearthrank. And Hearthrank, one of the men, turns away from the wall where he's been listening, and he walks over. He looks sort of a similar age, but unlike Hardfast, is actually bent over a little bit, and comes over, and Hardfast looks at him and says, "You said you knew something about Drimmerhorn." And the man sort of nods. He says, "Yes, my lord. I was there long time ago. It's atop a great black rock. There's only one way up, a narrow path that is guarded by many eyes. The fort was always well protected, guarded by orcs and other things. It was said it was haunted. Tales spoke of dungeons and treasures delved deep into the black rock below, and some say the rock fell from the sky and stay where it fell." And Hardfast kind of, just listens impassively, and then turns back to you, and he says, "Whether this is true or just an old wives' tale, we cannot say. But it is an evil place. It will be dangerous to go there, dangerous to get the information you need. But the alternative is to wait, caught like rats in a trap. As you said yourself," and he looks at you, Robar, "to do so is to invite disaster. I cannot leave my people, but I would ask for your help. If you can find out what is happening there, if you come across word of those hunters that I mentioned in the marsh, perhaps we can come to some understanding. I can do what I can, but only from here. I would ask you to be my eyes and ears, and my sword and shield."
And my ex. No,
And my axe.
Fortunately, I left my axe.
One does not simply walk into Dwimmerhorn. No, he doesn't say that.
How far of a journey is this?
So, your best guess is that this would take probably, depending on how well you're guided, it would take maybe about a week to do, but it partially depends on sort of the time on the travel, because let's say that where's my free hand? So let's say that you were to go, you can't really go directly there, but let's say that you skirted outside of here and then went down this way.
Crossing the river again.
Crossing the river again, and then crossing through the forest, which has its own problems, and then get over into here. Even if you were doing all that, all of this would be difficult travel, and once you get into here, really difficult. So that the smarter option, again, might be to go down this way and then cut over so that you avoid all the marshland here. Also, you're not 100% sure that it's still in the place where they say it might have moved. So that again
the
depends.
fortress might have moved?
Correct. They said that they feel sometimes the fortress moves and is not in the same place. Think
it's
the
like
fortress.
a Howl's Moving Castle type of situation.
It's like
They stole that idea from Kroll.
I was just gonna say it's like the Castle in Kroll,
Oh.
great, most underrated movie of all time.
I was gonna say
I
Brigadoon.
have never heard of it.
Brigadoon.
Get out.
Okay. Brigadoon.
Brigadoon. That's what we're calling it from now
Brigadoon.
on.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
You're going to Brigadoon, the Dwimmerhorn Fortress.
Great.
What?
Maybe you can go
There's
look for
a
the
Scottish. There's a Scottish legend of a village called Brigadoon that moves around from place to place.
Also a Broadway musical.
Really? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yep.
And so I have made the pun of saying doom instead of dune. That's what happened there. I've over-explained it.
Hardfast
It was
continues.
very clever.
As you explain it, Hardfast is just shaking his head. Like,
River, not as given to punning as I am. She is
In
not
real life.
married to
She does not
Scott,
pun.
who is an inveterate punner. But anyways, no, I'm sure she would pun if like a really good one came to mind.
Oh yeah, I mean that would definitely.
But she's not familiar with Brigadoon, and so she couldn't have made that joke. Anyway, so we're talking about a week. Can we where and we have to then get. We then have to get this information back to Heartfast.
Correct, and then from there back to Radagast, depending on what you find.
Yeah, River is really troubled by this on account of how her dad is trapped in a tower.
Yep. Mhm.
And she doesn't know what's happening to him. Right.
Oh, we got disconnected.
Oh
Hold
no.
on.
Disconnected?
Yeah, it's
Ah.
OBS disconnection. Bear with it.
Oh, since you're gonna fix it, I need more coffee before I die.
All right,
Oh,
that's
no.
fine. It's still
Before
recording,
I
so that'll be
die.
fine. It's still recording, so that'll be fine.
The stakes are high.
I can't turn off my video to eat the rest of this this bar, but that's okay.
It's cool though. Like when we disconnect, the live audience know that we're still there. You know,
Yeah.
we haven't just disappeared.
It's true.
Can you just tell them that we'll be back on in just a second? Reconnection successful. Okay, we should be back on now. I think.
You guys are doing pretty well for like a convention Wi-Fi.
And wireless too, by the way.
Is
This
it really?
Yeah.
I
That
assumed
is
you were
the-
plugged in.
that is the most terrifying thing.
The power of ARVBox
Wi-Fi
compels you.
streaming.
My
holy
portable rig works really well, but it's difficult, especially when you got 6 million things going. Anyway,
Yeah.
but it's a good moment to say welcome to everyone who's watching on Twitch as you're watching day 32 of Adventures of Middle-earth Wilderland Adventures. I am joined in person by Mal Elmatar, but also as usual with Trendane, with Terry Toons, who is up super late, which we all appreciate, and with Will Jones. And we are also joined by an incredibly enthusiastic live studio audience. Yeah. Which is here joining us as well and hopefully having a good time. Also, if you like what you see in here, please follow the channel and do all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so
No,
what?
No.
no. That was totally insufficient.
Oh, okay.
Oh no.
Oh, you mean the response was?
Trent
Yes.
is
He's
I
calling
said,
you.
are you excited?
his enthusiast shaming you or something.
Are you entertained?
Are you not entertained?
Yes, we are enthusiast shaming, and I want people in whatever book launch you guys are put up against to sit there and go, damn, they're having a great time over there. Let's go over there. I want you guys to cheer. Go.
Oh.
Oh.
What?
Oh my God.
Yes, you're cheering. On 3, we're cheering. One,
two,
2,
three.
3.
That's better.
Thank
Much better,
you.
much
Thank
better.
you, friends.
Thank you very much. Okay. So, as I make sure that I didn't drop any frames. Good, we're still on. We didn't miss any of that. That would have been terrible. Okay. So Heartfest, says, having sort of heard you think about this, says, all right then. So the last question is, will you go and find the news that we need, and will you come back to us first before you return to talk to Radagast? I ask a favor. He says favor like the way that you say, I will have a raisin. You know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of thing.
The way that
It's like-
you say I will have a raisin.
Essentially that.
Yeah, the way that way.
River looks deeply troubled and says, we want very much to help you. And the Gladden Fields are clearly where the information we've been sent to find is most likely to be found. I only wish you to know that we made haste here in part because my father has been captured by whatever is lurking in the Elven Tower to the south of Rosgobel. And any time that we spend farther away from there tears at me, as I want nothing more than to go and storm it immediately. But we've made this journey, and she's saying this in part to everyone else, we've made this journey in part to learn everything that we can in order to help most effectively. I only want you to know that my hesitation, is only because of that, and not because of any, what is the word I'm looking for late in the evening?
Disinterest.
Is not of any disinterest or lack of amity. It is only this that weighs on me.
He nods and he says, I am sorry to hear it. Dark times indeed when choices like this must be made, and yet the choices remain. He says, however, if you are able to help, then I will do what I can. I don't know if I can send men to assist you, but I might be able to send word ahead so that those who are in the area of this place, the Elfin Tower, which I saw only once when I was very young, may be able to be of some assistance. I would hope that Roskabel, and he sort of pauses and says, would think more carefully about woodmen on all sides, but I will not abandon them, or you.
Thank you, Hardfast.
Continues to have the exact same affect.
Uh-huh.
Like, you get the impression if he danced, he would have the exact same look all the time.
So River also turns to the others and says, we do have the means of contacting Radagast more quickly. So whatever we find there, we can send word ahead before returning here, and hopefully Radagast can make something of that. I'm willing to do this. What about the rest of you?
I am. River steps back.
I went to get coffee, so, what was the question?
Are we cool with...
Inga comes back bearing a mug of it's like, well, sorry, yes. I was out.
Are we cool with traveling to the Dwimmer...
Dwimmerhorn.
The Dwimmerhorn to Brigadoon, and
Brigadoon.
and are we willing to travel there, and then once whatever we learn from there to go back and tell Heartfast before heading back home? And River is just saying that whatever we find there, we can send word to Radagast about it through, wizardy means, and still come back to see Heartfast. So that is a thing that can happen. So she's saying that in spite of the fact that it means her dad is trapped in this tower for, still, assuming he's even alive, we don't know that, then, which is part of the calculus that she's making. But she's trying to put a brave face on it.
Okay.
Inga is looking at River and Robar and is I'm basically going where you guys are going, and you are the ones who's addressing issues here, so of course I'm in if you guys are in.
River smiles a little and says, thank you.
And Hardfast looks at you, Tawny.
And Tawny's just sort of staring at the wall where he just sort of had his ear. And so he kind of draws a small semicircle on it, and then sort of looks over as though he's just heard the conversation for the first time. And is like, oh, yes, I'm with you through whatever. But what she said, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so Hardfast nods. I would like, River, for you now to make a final audience check. So you're going to be...
Check with the audience.
Check audience.
Audience, what do you think?
I'll wait for you to move the stuff.
Different kind of audience.
Yeah.
So a final audience check to see how this meeting went mechanically. Okay.
It's always great to let Inga speak at audiences because she's so great at dealing with people and diplomacy and everything. Yeah.
What's the outgoing role?
So for the final audience check, that is going to be, I believe...
This is the moment for the audience.
Yeah. Inspiration.
You do inspiration. Yes.
That's true. That's true. This would be a good moment to be inspired. I happen to know of someone who might have an inspiration available, who might have been waiting for this very moment.
What? Really?
Also, like, if anybody
I think I know a guy.
Really?
Yeah, it's me.
Who?
would
Really?
like to DM, now is the time.
Yes, the audience has literally, in the form of Brahms,
So, like,
live and in person, has inspired you.
Hey! Oh, amazing! Hooray! Thank you. Hopefully this will not be wasted, as I feel like previously our inspirations have been, well, my performance part. So wait, what am I rolling?
Yeah, so you're going to be rolling again.
What is
This
that?
is traditions again.
Okay.
And you're going to be, actually, also, you're going to be doing this at...
If you roll a natural 20, I expect to hear some screaming.
All right. Yeah, I can't see the
That's
roll
true.
quite.
Here, what if I move
Actually,
this?
move that over to the left. Yeah, there you go. And actually move... Yep,
Can
exactly.
I do that? Okay, there we go. Now you will see the roll.
oh,
as
the
it
stream
happens.
is offline, by the way.
I think
Oh,
I think
no.
it just reconnected.
Okay, yeah. It said the internet connection was unstable. Okay.
Oh, really? You don't say.
Drum roll,
I hadn't
please.
realized.
Drum roll, drum roll. Hey! 20! Hooray!
Okay.
Plus something
Nice.
or minus something? Or?
That's actually would be +3. So.
Oh, 23!
Brava.
Okay.
Brava.
Great.
So, he says.
Thank you, inspiration. Thank you, Brahms. Thank you, guys. You guys are awesome.
So he nods and he sort of looks for a while and then says, "Very well. In that case, I will do what I can to help. You may shelter in these halls for this evening. If you leave tomorrow, I will send with you, heaven help all of us, the Creator help all of us," and he kind of looks around, he says, "Magric."
I'm sure we're gonna get a really great, super chill, super stoic travel companion.
He says, "Magric is quite friendly,
Jody.
but also quite knowledgeable of those lands. And there are many times where he has brought me information that I would not have had myself." And so he says, "I will introduce you to him. But in the meantime, I offer you the hospitality of these halls. If you exit the mine, and my door warden here will lead you, then you can return to the Great Hall, where you can eat at your leisure, and in the morning depart. I will let Magric know in the meantime."
Thank you.
And he nods, and then with no further ceremony turns around and puts his ear back to the wall.
Aww, that's so upsetting. Oh god. Okay, sorry. It's grim stuff. Cool.
Okay.
What we do now?
So at this point, if you wish, you can be accompanied back up. They can lead you back up if you wish to the hall. So as I now bring you over to the greatest hits. Remember that map? That was exciting. That was a good time.
Weary of the world? What?
And then we had the journey, and then last but certainly not least, back at the
Hill of Woe. These are some names, man.
Hill of Woe,
Hill of
Darkness
Woe.
of Shadow.
And we're going to the Glidden Fields, but they're a terrible
You should
place.
see what they call the Starbucks in this world. It's sort of a Coffee of Doom.
Oh, yeah, Inga went to go, like, Lord of the Rings Starbucks.
Stone blocks.
Yeah,
Stone
stone
blocks.
blocks.
Nice.
The chai of dread. Anyway, okay, so you make your way back up, and you are brought actually up to here, to this great hall, as I mentioned before. And you were brought up there, and as you enter, Inga, you remember again, as I said, what it was like to be there, and indeed, all three fires are burning at the moment, but there is only one that is being actively tended, and they are these great fires that roar up a number of feet high, and there are these huge spits which are gradually turning, over which is being roasted what looks like maybe a whole stag or a deer. There's huge creatures that are being sort of roasted over these enormous spits, and there are several long tables on which are many wooden mugs and plates of food and things of that kind. And as you are brought in by the door warden, he sort of bows and gestures to the tables. There's a few woodmen in there right now who are in the process of eating, but he gestures so that all of you can, if you wish, be seated and eat if you like before heading off to bed. That is up to you.
Very
Yes.
much so.
Yes, food.
Okay.
Always food.
And this, by the way, is a lot better than some of what, as you remember, Inga, there was sort of like, they were very fond of stale bread and gray mutton. This is better fare than that. So maybe things have improved.
Maybe they've been hunting deer,
Maybe they've been hunting deer over time.
riding stags.
Oh,
Okay. Yes.
Also, like, while sitting there, Inga looks around and sees if she can spot by now any of the people we rescued last time that were like attacked by the grasshoppers. What
They
were
don't.
called?
They don't seem to.
Locusts.
Yeah, the locusts. They don't seem to have arrived yet. But you may remember that they had those wagons that were going to take them longer, and that you were going to make better time than them. So
Yeah.
you don't see
So,
them
like-
yet.
Okay, so
I don't
Inga
think
is
we weren't
gonna,
talking to Heartfast for that long.
Right.
Yeah, no. So since assumes that they have not made it here yet, Inga is gonna look around and talk to the most important looking person there and just lets them know about that we did meet these travelers who were attacked by this really weird locust swarm on the way here, and that they should be here and then names appropriate time that it would take them to get here.
Okay. Yeah, they seem. One of them sort of nods seriously, and then after they're done eating, they sort of nod to you and leave. So you get the impression they might talk to some of the guards or something like that about this. So they might talk to them about it also.
And she lets them know that even though they didn't appear to be seriously injured, they are bruised and stuff, and children and elderly with them, so they might need some extra tending.
Okay.
River says to Tawny, Tawny, do you know of any salves or oils that we could prepare to maybe defend against insects like that if we're going into the marshes?
Mosquito spray.
Got any
You
deets?
can purchase the citronella candles.
Um, there are. Are you
Very
okay?
tired.
Yeah, it does.
Trent is super hysterical at 2 a.m. Super funny.
Okay.
You're always funny, Trent.
I guess.
Yes.
It's just, yeah, all right. Yeah, but there are
By the way, 3 a.m. in the morning.
Sorry,
Right.
beg your pardon. 3.
3 a.m. in the morning as opposed to. Never mind.
3 a.m. in the evening, obviously.
Right. Yes, there are several extracts that we could make, but part of the problem is that the method by which they drive insects away and repel them is by a very strong scent, and that will make us much more detectable to anyone who might be seeking us.
Well,
I think the connection's gone.
Yeah.
oh, if the connection's gone?
Oh.
Oh. Alright.
It's in and out.
Yeah, it was doing so well.
Yeah.
It was doing well for you. It is frozen for us several times.
Yeah.
Aw.
Fortunately, that's going to happen on occasion. It'll pop back up in a second here.
Should I hold off or should I just keep?
You can keep going because it's still recording.
Right.
So.
River says that may be a trade-off that we need to make as we get closer. If it's possible to make it and keep it in a sealed jar or something like that until we need to use it, it might be worth taking the time to prepare. Especially that
Keep going.
especially that I don't know. I think that there are things that might track us by human scent and not by other strong scents
This
potentially.
sounds like electronic.
Sounds like dance music. Should I sound like or something? Am I a robotic dolphin? Were you able to get any of that, Tawny?
A little bit.
Oh.
We're powering. We're powering for. Well,
About every fifth syllable, yes.
Oh, great.
It was a bit like you were beatboxing. It was kind of.
Oh. I'm not gonna try and beatbox. That's terrible. But no. Basically, she just says, well, we could make use of it probably when we get closer to the marshes if we need to, and our scent being pungent will still be a disguised scent if things like wolves are hunting for, humans or just flesh. Then if we smell like plants, that might be better, that sort of thing. Basically still arguing it's probably worthwhile to make it if we have the means to do it and keep it in a sealed jar until we need it.
Well, I certainly have the means, but I don't have the plants.
Are we likely to be able to find them on the way? Are they particularly difficult to find, or could we ask the men here if they might have any stored?
Well, they may have some. I could distill something which would work moderately well from pine pitch, but it will take quite a bit of pine pitch.
They seem to have plenty of torches here. I presume that they have a lot of pine pitch.
A lot of these seem to be dried reeds. I don't know if they are impregnated with pitch or not.
We might ask, all the same. I have a feeling that we get advantage on survival checks. She doesn't say.
Still having problems.
This is, however, a nature check.
Yeah, I know. But if anyway, River says if there's anything that you need, Tawny, I'm happy to ask for it on your behalf while we're here, as part of our preparations for tomorrow.
It can be done, yes, but I will need the materials to do it.
Okay.
So assuming Tawny gives her a list, she'll ask around and ask of Heartfast and stuff.
Okay.
And I hope you like the smell of pine.
I do, in fact. I find it very refreshing.
Bathing in pine salt, the equivalent.
In
Okay.
fact,
Yeah.
some of my people have been known to make a delicious liqueur from pine tar. I've just decided that there are fins in Roscobel.
That's actually what happens.
Yeah.
All right, let me stop one last time and try to switch up the servers.
I'm just
we're
gonna
still
tell-
getting we're still getting recording, so we're
I'm just
not
going to tell
losing
the
anything, it's
stream in the
fine.
meantime that if you haven't had pine tar booze, you need to try it. It is amazing.
Pine tar booze?
It's a real thing. Like when I say that this is I've decided that there are fins in Rosgobel, that it's a Finnish drink. I think it's called Terva. And it's delicious. It's unbelievably good. It's like drinking a fire made of pine branches. It's just
I'm trying to
smoky
decide whether I'd
and-
like that. To drink
It's
a
so
fire
good.
made of
If you
pine
like
branches.
British Scotch, I think you would like it.
I don't actually drink, so it's
okay.
kind of lost on me. But
I know, that's why I was like,
It is a
So-
beautiful thing.
So the closest thing I can think of to that is Russian caravan tea.
Yes, which I
Where-
love.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very, very good.
Mhm.
I like it a lot because the tea leaves are dried over, campfires
Mhm.
and whatnot. A lot of the campfires are made out of pine.
Yes.
So,
And Lapsang Souchong, which I can't remember if Russian Caravan is made
Yes.
from Lapsang Souchong or not, but it's it's a smoked Chinese tea that is absolutely gorgeous and one of my favorites. And basically, anytime I can drink a fire, that is not actually spicy, just drinking the smell of a gorgeous wood fire is a wonderful thing. And I've decided that River likes it too. This is the moment.
Okay.
I'm not sure River drinks. I feel like, I don't know, she just seems
She has
so...
drunk in last session.
What?
She has drank alcohol last session.
She did. That's right. But she didn't get...
Yes, we all drank a thing.
That's right. You're right. Yeah. But
Everybody's alcoholics.
It's true. beer is easier to get and brewed, and in places where water is suspect, better to drink the beer. Beer and wine. Wine and beer. Are we lost? Are we lost?
No, I
in
mean,
this
we're
room?
it's struggling. I don't know. But I mean, again, the
Like,
recording is
keeps
going
cutting
on,
off.
so we'll do the best we can.
Okay.
Okay. So you folks have talked a little bit about that. At this point, I assume bed is in your future.
Yes.
Okay.
Will
I don't mean
River
in
be
real
able-
life. That's
No.
also true. But I meant in the
Will we be able to obtain any of like the materials and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
I would think so.
Cool.
Okay. So you are put up in a house during the night, and I have no idea why all of a sudden the internet has just decided to completely collapse. But it is just not getting the job done, and I don't know why.
What?
It's after business hours. They roll up the sidewalks around.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, why is that?
Everyone must be talking about how great Derek's book launch was.
Yeah, exactly. Get off the book launch and get to the bloody. Sure, Derek's launch is awesome. Now can we get back over here? Okay. I'm gonna try one last time to get
Someone's
this
10
going
level
on.
route someone.
Someday, Will, when we all grow up and we have our own like tech team that just does everything themselves, like it's no more of this DIY. that's the beautiful future of Twitch. Okay.
And if you send me a stream key, I could probably send them.
If I send you Strinky, what?
I could probably set something up. I mean, I could probably just run OBS here, but then you'd have to like zoom in. I mean, it's probably not a quick solution when I think
Yeah.
about it, because if your internet is crap, it's going to be difficult to capture you anyway.
Yeah. It was going.
Internet's always.
It was going fine. I just tried to find a.
And apparently it was beautiful last night.
It was.
I'll
Yeah, it was
just take a
totally
nap
solid last night.
until you are done.
Let's see. Okay. I guess we'll go with Toronto makes more sense than Quebec. Yes, as far as closer.
Well, depends on
Quebec is the worst. So.
where Quebec.
Is that charging to save? I'm not doing all this.
I mean, yeah, Quebec is technically 10 minutes away, but is it
Technically the
is
worst.
it Quebec?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's probably not an ingest issue on Twitch this side, so the
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's just
may
some
not make too much of a
disaster
difference.
with internet, with hotel internet now, and I don't know why.
It's a good time to take a bio break.
Okay.
Just having dealt with like bullshit.
Sure.
That's
So
it.
we can take. So what we can do is we have about another hour to go. So yeah,
Yeah.
we can take like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Take a break, and I will try to get this going. In the meantime, you
I need
folks
the
are
rest of
watching day 32 of Adventures of Middle Earth, Wilderland Adventures. Sorry about the tech problems, but the video will be totally stable. But I'm sorry for the folks watching on stream. It's just internet is a problem. So.
Like, how did we get to like talking about like Finnish booze and like Russian yeast?
And Amal just disappears.
she apparated.
Right, exactly. Yeah, do your thing. We're just,
No worries. Feel
we're
free to
just
mute us.
talking to each other because we can
Yeah.
talk to you. So let's buy a break then if any of you need to go and do that thing
Yeah, I'll take 5.
Sleep would be good. I'll go sleep. Good night.
for 5 minutes. And then
Hello, hello? I don't think so.
The fact that it's being recorded is useless if we can't hear you.
Oh, look who's back. Kind
Look
of.
who decided to show up.
Go.
Can hear you.
Yep.
Yes.
Mhm.
For now.
The other camera's still frozen, but yeah, we can hear you.
What other camera?
Well, I'm sorry. It looked like River's camera was still frozen, but
Oh.
she's just not sitting there.
No, but like we can see like the screen in the background moving.
Mhm.
Huzzah! Wow. Never happened.
No, they cannot. Nope. I can hear me through the stream, but I can't hear you.
I know why. Now you can hear me. Hello, test, test, test. Chat, can you hear me now? Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, lovely. Okay, good, wonderful. All right. So, nighttime has arrived. And it is, Terry's like, yes,
And
it
we
has.
have blissful
Indeed.
sleep, not plagued by any nightmares whatsoever.
That is not the case.
God damn it!
What
As
is
you
sleep?
are asleep, you are woken from your sleep by shouts outside of the great hall.
No.
Hey, come forward on the wall. You hear this sort of shouting from outside the hall. Sounds of woodmen shouting.
Have we been given our weapons back?
I would say no.
Fuck.
But that's mostly because you didn't necessarily go looking for them again.
Right, because we're gonna
but-
take them on the morrow.
Right.
River like bounds out of her bed and looks around and goes to the source of the sounds.
Okay. Oh, and zooms down again.
No! Why?
Wow.
God damn it! We tried so hard and got so far, and in the
it
end,
didn't really matter.
we had to fight a battle.
It was just in the middle of this exciting moment too. Yeah, boy, this is terrible. The internet was completely rock solid last night. And I tested it for precisely that reason.
I don't suppose.
All right, there we are.
The map.
Ah.
Yep. Sorry, folks. This is gonna happen for a little while.
Does anyone have unlimited data on their phone that we could tether to?
Because I mean, I have it on mine, but obviously, if I do that up here, the
Yeah.
But wait.
Oh.
Do you have the pay $7 a day and use the data that you have at home here thing?
no,
Oh, alas.
no. I have an old grandfathered plan, which allows me to have actual unlimited data. But okay, so it should be back up. At least the Zoom is back up, and I think the OBS may be back up. But either way, the recording is stable. So mostly, I'm just concerned at the moment about making sure that the audience can see you and that Zoom can see you. So you heard the thing about the shouting, yes, and about outside the hall. So you said that you were jumping up and running outside, yes?
Yeah.
Anyone else?
No, I am first like looking around if I see anything that I could use as a weapon.
There are several logs that are in the fire, stacked by each of the fires. And you notice that there's actually still one attendant who's kind of looking nervously outside, but the attendant is not supposed to leave that fire for reasons I've already described. So,
Are we near that attendant? Like,
yeah, I mean, well, it's in the hall, so you could,
Does the attendant carry weapons that we can see?
not that you can see, but possible.
Okay.
Okay, so it's like nothing that we could use as makeshift weapons, right?
So are we passing this attendant as we go towards the source of the sound? So River is running and says to the to whoever's minding the hearth, do you know what's happening?
He says,
No.
the attendant says, no, my charge is here with the fire. The shouts just began a few minutes ago.
Do you
Less
have
than that.
Do you have any weapons?
And he sort of looks around wildly. I have this, and he pulls up this like whittling knife, basically, like to use like to sort of trim down like firewood and stuff like that. You know, if you want to whittle an enemy to death, you know, it might.
A terrifying end.
Wait. He
The
is also
Raven,
a carpenter,
Voldemort.
so...
Okay. River says, well, all right, if either of you can use that, great. and she just keeps going.
Okay.
She's got her belt knife still.
Okay. Also, I would point out that outside this hall, right here, right outside the hall, you can actually see the door warden's house is here, which is where the stuff was actually taken, supposedly.
Oh, okay, right.
So you could, if you had to, you'd have to run down the path, basically.
Where's the sound?
So the sound is coming from outside the hall, and when you actually come out, and are the other three of you also following out River outside? Also, yeah, Tani and Robar?
Just leave it off.
I was going to get a piece of rope and...
I love the idea of a bar going, rolling
It's just
over.
rolling over.
Descended from kings, roll over.
When you rush outside, I would like, please, perception checks from everybody who runs outside. And, we'll bring this up here.
What time is it?
A little ropes.
Adventure time!
47 a.m.
It is probably about 1 or 2 in the morning.
Oh, holy moly.
Sounds horrible. Who would be awake at such an hour?
Who would be doing anything at such a time, Tari?
Perception.
No one's awake at that hour.
I'm not salty or anything,
All right, so Tani has advantage on perception checks at night, so...
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Great.
wait a second. Wait,
Ah,
let's see.
21.
okay.
I'm a dwarf. Do I get a thing?
Do you get the thing? As a dwarf, do I get the thing?
thing?
This would not call... No, this is not something...
Yeah,
This is
because,
not...
like, you said, like, something about, like... Because, like, Inga can see better in the dark. and
Yeah.
stuff. She has night vision. I
Yes.
don't know what it means
In this
for
case, though,
getting-
there's actually... So you've got... there are actually from above through several what look like sort of naturally carved channels in the rock. There is some light filtering down, presumably moonlight from above. And so all of you, the only one who actually really sees this is Tani. Robar, you think you maybe see some kind of movement, but over on the mountain slope to the east of the hall, which is over here. Zoom out a bit. Okay. Over right around here, Tani, you can see what looks like a trio of goblins scrambling up the steep mountain slope to the east of the hall.
God damn it.
And you can see that they are climbing the sheer mountainside, and rapidly so.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of there's alarms, and there's a bunch of people sort of yelling up at and pointing at them.
Well,
It is.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
I have, like, real troubles visualizing, like, what exactly here is, like, inside a cave and what isn't. Like, where is the entrance to, like, this huge cave we're in? Like,
So,
right at the sitting, right?
Right here. Right here. On the other side of that
Okay,
bridge
so, like,
is where you exit.
everything,
Well, but not entirely, because there are parts that are covered by mountain and other parts that rise above it. For example, this here rises above that level, so like that's actually exposed to the outside. Apparently, you can't see the top of that from down below. This over here is is still inside the mountain. It's like a sheer wall down from underneath the mountain. Where you are here is also underneath the mountain, but as I said, there are channels that are letting in moonlight down there. So as you're looking up at them, you can see, you can't see, but you could if you had made the check, could see these goblins climbing up the mountain, the side of the mountain here towards, you don't know what, but they're climbing up.
Okay, River doesn't actually need to see this to know that, like, some shit's going down, so she's going to say,
Also, Tani could point it out to you if you want.
right, is Tani doing that?
does he though?
It's about to.
Okay, she's going to actually look around to see where, like, where the warden's place is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's right, as I mentioned, it's down here.
Okay.
So you could, like, book it down the path to the warden and basically the Dorwood's house,
Right.
and then back, and then sort of up and out again.
Right.
From here, basically, you can see the side of the mountain.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let while she's like looking around if like anyone's reacting, I'll let that happen before going
okay.
to get yeah.
So go ahead,
Tawny
Tony.
was going to find the closest guard or person with a weapon,
Okay.
preferably one that is ranged, but not necessarily exclusively so, and grab them and say, up there, and point to 3 goblins, there.
And they see it, and then so they sort of look at it and see it, and then one of them sort of looks and says, "That shot's impossible. No one could make that from here." And you can actually see that they do have, he does have a bow and arrows, but he's kind of like just looking like shaking his head.
River
How far
River looks
Yes,
at
100% of the shots.
How far is it?
yeah. River was gonna be like, yeah, I bet you could make it.
It is a long, hundreds and hundreds of feet. These things are what, 10 feet square, I believe. So
Yes.
from the outside, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and then up, so 90, 100, 100. They're probably about 250, 300 feet. So like up and over. So if you wanted, you could try to take a shot. You'll be doing it at disadvantage, but you can take a shot at it if you like.
Like, could I also like run over to the ledge here? Wait, like over here-ish, and then try to shoot from there. Would that make a difference?
It wouldn't make a difference. In fact, if anything, it make the angle tougher. Like at least where you are, you can, the angle's a little bit easier than trying to shoot up further, which is what you need to do if you got closer to the mountain. At least from here, you have a better angle on it, although it's farther away.
Okay.
So.
Well, Inga's gonna try, as Tony said.
Okay.
So River actually goes, like looking at Tawny and says, "Only 3?"
That's all I see.
Yep.
Robot would go to take a shot as well.
Huh.
We have only 1 bow, though, right?
Oh yeah, didn't I give away our bows?
Yeah, no, but there's the guard has a bow, so you could.
One
that's like
of you
the
could
thing.
grab
Yeah.
a bow from the guard, and or some others could run down and try to. But you're not going to have a lot of time by
River-
the time you get down there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. River says that I'll go grab our weapons.
Yes.
Because figuring that she's the woodsman in the party anyway, so. And says, I think they'll make an exception for this situation.
What type of bow is this, by the way?
Um,
Long bow or short bow?
This looks to be a short bow.
Okay, good. Because
And
I assume that Robar fights with a long bow.
as you are, and as you're sort of deciding what to do about this, you see,
Sure, yeah.
you hear the sound of someone yelling, kind of, "Shoot! Shoot before they get further!" And stumbling towards you, you actually see what looks like a badly injured woodsman who is sort of staggering towards you, and he's got a bow and an arrow. He's got a sword that is kind of loosely hanging on his belt and basically just falls off his belt completely, and he kind of stumbles to his knees and then almost pitches forward, like not dead, but just kind of like, and just like goes forward. So that gives you another bow. So you have 2 bows
And
to
a
work
sword.
with. But he looks as if he's been attacked. This guy
Okay,
does not look.
Robar,
so-
go! And
Yeah.
each of us. Like,
River's
Does
getting
go.
River's getting the weapons as much as she can. Yeah.
this would be a good situation for like more inspiration. Everybody has some to spare.
All right. Does chat have inspiration, and more to the point, is the stream
Wait.
running for long enough for
Is-
inspiration to happen?
Is Robar still inspired, or was that just
He should
for the-
be.
Oh, right.
Yes.
That's true. He got that inspiration
Yeah.
last time, right?
Yeah, he did.
I don't think he used it, did he?
No, we used it
He
for
did.
the arrival.
That's right.
But does that eliminate it, or is it just one roll, or is
Well, they
because it was an in-game inspiration? I wasn't sure if it lasted in a different way. Okay.
No, but I mean, if he used it, which I thought
He did.
on the
He
arrival.
did on the arrival.
Yeah, so he doesn't have it. Otherwise, it would have lasted through
Okay.
today, certainly.
Right. It would have been the only one that would have.
So it is up to chat. Then it is up to chat to decide if there is any inspiration to be used. Brahms has already used his inspiration, I believe.
And Tawny is tending the guard and asking him, was it one of those that...
What is this?
There is a drawing in the audience of a goblin. Do you want to bring that over here? I'll show it.
Go ahead.
Look. Oh wow. That's way too pretty to be a goblin. But nevertheless,
Way too graphic.
this is the. Can you see that?
You said that I'm vertically climbing up. I imagined like
A deer?
no, goats, mountain goats.
Oh, mountain goat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
It looks like a fawn. It looks like a fawn. Goblins would be way less scary if they looked like Mr. Tumnus. But
Oh, Kilobyte is here. Well, it depends on who is going to who wants the shot. Because
Yeah.
Well, we
Kilobyte
both
might
want
be
to
willing to
shoot.
inspire one of you. I don't think you'll have enough
both
inspirations
want
for both.
So
So
if
either
you-
Robar or Inge.
or you take the inspiration and you split it between them and you just add a D10 to whatever they roll.
No.
No?
That's a very intelligent idea that will not be allowed.
Quick, somebody bribe the DM, like people in the audience.
What do you
Yeah, try them with raisins.
hey,
What-
Yes.
hey, Greg, are you hungry? Because I've got a chewy granola bar.
Did you get that from the con suite? And are you trying to bribe me with con suite food?
I'm just saying that right now you don't have a granola bar, and I do have a granola bar. And I would be more than willing to give this granola bar to you if you were willing to do us a good turn. He starts crunching a carrot, which I also brought you,
You did.
to be clear.
I'm very appreciative of that, but you didn't bring hummus though.
There wasn't any to be had.
Didn't bring hummus.
It wasn't there.
Kilobyte.
I
Kilobyte.
wanted to. I searched high and
All
low
right.
for it.
So chat, Kilobyte. Thank you first of all, Kilobyte, for the inspiration. You have inspired one of the two of them.
Hooray!
It is up to which one of you wants to be inspired. Robar, have you got this shot?
Who's
or
the better
Inga?
shot?
Who's got the shot?
Trust me, do not inspire me. I will disappoint you. I will let you down.
You got the last one. You got the last inspiration.
I will let
you
you
down.
down.
Do you
Okay,
need
then
to
I'll
re-
take it.
Will, do you
Yeah,
need to
that's
reveal
right.
royalty to yourself? Can you reveal your own royalty to yourself? Like just
I think you need to reveal that you are, in fact,
Oh, gracious.
9 Inch Nails. I think that's what you need to reveal.
right.
Okay,
What
I
do
take
I
the
do?
shot with inspiration. That just means I lose a disadvantage, right? I don't gain advantage, right?
That is correct.
Oh, what? Oh, what?
Yeah, otherwise she'd be a disadvantage.
Oh,
This
okay.
is a hell of a shot.
All right.
All right,
I believe in you, Inga.
the power is there.
Good luck.
Oh,
Yes!
snap!
Yes!
Wow.
Amazing! Hooray!
So Inga drops to the ground.
It was a 1,000,000 to 1 shot,
It
Inga!
was.
And
That was
therefore
great.
you did it.
Drops to one.
Eight
So
damage.
you drop to one knee, fire the shot. Looking over, you give Robar a wink as you do.
The most charged bow shot you've ever seen.
The shot fires up.
Pull back your bowstring, baby.
The shot fires up and the goblin that you hit sort of peels back and peels back.
And it knocks the other two
falls.
goblins.
Yeah, right. It
Yeah,
grabs his
it-
friends. No,
yeah.
and falls and goes, and then there's a splash far below as it lands here somewhere, presumably in the mountain stream. The other
gets eaten by
two
Golem.
sort of redouble their pace. So you will be able to get off one shot yourself, Rabar, at disadvantage on one of the other ones if you want.
Yes, do it.
Alright, let's try it.
Does he feel inspired by how great Inge's shot was?
2
Go into
20s.
That was a great shot.
Two.
It was a hell of a shot.
Also, I did
it's an
actual
8.
damage too. Like, I just want to point that one out.
Yep.
That's an 8.
Robar with his great bow, not such a great bow. So you fire, and it sort of plunks harmlessly against the side of the mountain, and the goblins, continue to make their way up until they are out of sight. The one who's lying on the ground says, kind of just weakly looks up. That was a great shot. You've got to find Rosen. Rosen is there. Rosen's behind me. He was stabbed. I don't know where he ended up. He's down there somewhere. And he tells you more about this Rosen, this watchman apparently who was stabbed, and he doesn't know where he is, but he points back towards where he was, like where he came from, basically. The watchman points over his shoulder at the cliff behind him.
Has we ever been able to get back and to get the weapons and come back?
I would say by this point you're back.
Okay.
The goblins are now out of sight, unfortunately, although one of them is gone.
All right, but we need to be.
Oh,
armed
did we
here.
see where he went exactly? Like,
The goblin? He landed.
Yeah.
You saw him plunge and then a
No,
splash.
I mean the one that got away.
No,
two
you
that
didn't.
got away.
He vanished into the shadows above. You don't know entirely.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. River hands back their weapons, and did she hear the thing about Rosen?
Yes, just as he was getting there. As you were
Okay.
getting there, sorry.
So she'll ask. So, I mean, it seems like obviously they were also attacked by goblins.
Mhm.
Is the general like? Has he communicated who they were attacked by? Or?
He just said no. He just said they came on us. One of them, Rosen stabbed. He's back there, and he keeps
Right.
like pointing back over his shoulder.
All right. River draws her axes and has her axes in hand and is moving towards where Rosen was.
Make an investigation check for me, please, which is
Okay.
intelligence based.
Balls. Ah!
Yep.
Okay. It's really dark.
It is really dark. You do not know what is going on with them. Is anyone else going to try to follow, and find like? Are you also going to try to follow them? Any of you or not?
Wait, follow who?
To follow the river and seeking out whatever this watchman's
Yes.
pointing over for his
Yeah.
companion.
Yes.
Because if so, you can also make these checks. This is an investigation check.
Okay, I'll do that.
Does he seem stable enough that if I leave him, he'll be okay until I get back?
Seems like it, yeah.
Okay, then Tony will also.
And he's actually encouraging you to do that. Like, go.
Oh my God,
that-
we're
I
all
don't
doing
care if
so
he's
great
encouraging.
on the in the alternate universe where left is right. We're doing really well.
Bar's like, where the hell is everything?
You said investigation?
Yes.
Right, because that's what they rolled. Well, that's intimidation. Don't roll intimidation.
Intimidate the
You
darkness.
intimidate the dark. Become light now.
Where were the other goblins going?
Swear to me. Wow.
God, it's really dark.
Okay.
But wait, doesn't Tony get advantage in?
On perception
On
check.
perception
Yeah,
checks.
not
Okay.
investigation though.
All right.
You are not able to find you. You look for a long time, but it is indeed very dark. The shadows are continuing to lengthen. From even like the channels of light that I mentioned with the moon coming down, even that is not really visible in this particular spot where they are. And you try to peer down towards the river itself, but down there the river is very dark. Cuts this sort of dark swath between the side of the mountain and then this side. And you are kind of in a... You don't know what has happened to
Rosen.
apparently the ill-fated Rosen, except that he's not on the path. for
Well,
sure.
River will call out, I think, and just say see if there's an answer and call out Rosen.
Silence. Just the trickling of the water below you.
God damn it. Can we get a light? Can we make light to see and attempt it again?
You can try, but you're not going to be able to get enough light to go down there. It's pretty far down.
Okay.
It's probably a good 75 to 100 feet down into this dark water. And there are no torches like lining the, and it's fairly fast-moving water also.
Where exactly are we right now? Like, can you ping us on the map?
Sure, you are here.
Okay. And is there still the sound of fighting?
No.
No.
There's now just silence.
Huh. Okay, but presumably there are goblins still making their way towards us out of the darkness?
Well, you don't know about that. In fact, since you left behind, now that, the guy's stable, the previous watchman might be able to tell you what happened, but there doesn't seem to be any kind of... This is not an invading force. It doesn't look like anything
exactly.
like that. And they were trying to get away from you.
Huh. Oh shit. Oh, have they taken something? Okay, so... Okay, there's no way we can just make the redouble our investigatory efforts.
No.
Okay. River is, upset and frustrated, and just has blasts this darkness and moves back towards the watchman to try and understand what was happening.
Okay. And the rest of you?
Tony's going to start making his way back there as well, but he's keeping watch on pretty much everything around them to make sure that nothing sneaks up on them.
Okay.
I don't suppose Stone could make an investigation check, could he?
Ooh.
Could Stone make an Sure, actually, yes. Stone could
Okay.
make an investigation check.
I'm not sure what oops, sorry. This
There you
one.
go.
Yeah.
Yes, he could.
Cool. He doesn't have what would that?
So it would be just a straight roll is what that would be.
Okay.
So you could just make a straight D20 roll.
What was the name
Oh,
again of the
okay.
guy we're looking for?
Rosen.
Rosen.
Rosen, yeah.
How do I make the?
If you go over to the
Oh,
left
this
side.
side.
of the screen, yep,
Okay.
just a straight.
Here we go. Stone is sniffing it. River looks at Stone and goes, Stone, can you find anything?
Nice.
Hey!
So that's a good thing you remembered.
Yay!
Happy
Stone,
power!
Stone kind of like sniffs, and then and is like whining, and brings you over to where you see there are a set of what look like bloody tracks. And as sort of Stone follows these tracks, you see that they end up, there's sort of a half track at the edge of the cliff. And as you look over, you can just see what looks like down below as Stone is kind of barking repeatedly, and you can just see someone's hand holding on to a
Oh my
stone
God!
on the side of the shore. Clearly must have fallen and stumbled over and fallen into the river here.
And has astonishing upper body strength.
Well, not for much longer.
So
Inga jumps in.
yeah, River
and
runs
tries to
towards
pick
there
him
and
up.
tries to help haul him up.
Okay, well, let's figure we get the order of this. I want to make
Okay.
sure. Inga, you literally jump in?
Well, I mean, like, how strong is the current? Like,
It's pretty strong.
Like, I can't really.
Okay,
Okay, so like
fair
she
to
tries
the
to like get like as close as possible and like. pull
Should we
it
make a
off.
human chain?
That is a
Let's.
possibility.
Okay.
I'm not
Um,
human. I'm
She's
offended.
not human.
No. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Should we make a person-shaped
A
chain?
fellowship
A
chain?
fellowship chain. Let's make a fellowship chain. So if,
Fellowship of the chain.
presuming that River was following Stone and saw this, she'll call out, "He's there! He's grabbing that rock. We need to make a chain."
Who's on what order? Like who's on the
Right.
top and so on?
I think Tawny should probably the strongest people should be at the edges, right?
Okay.
So I think it should be Tawny, River, Rabar, Inga. Is it who's stronger, Rabar or Inga?
I have no idea.
When it comes to water, Inga.
That's true.
You would be one step short of it. Like Inga would be right next to you next to the water.
Rabar is made of sugar and will melt if it comes into contact with the water. So
Rabar's a peak.
yeah. So I think that's what. Does that make most sense?
No
Sure.
idea.
Okay.
So yeah.
I will do my best.
So River will say, "Tawny, if you grab this rock, I'll hold on to you. Rabar, hold on to me. Inga, can you reach?"
This is feeling very Last of the Mohicans to me, by the way.
I've
no
never
matter
seen
what,
Last of the
No matter what
Mohicans.
occurs, what? Oh man, the last 15 minutes of that are some of the most amazing parts of a movie. Okay, I would like everyone please to make strength checks for me. I'll take athletics if you have it.
I'll take athletics.
Don't stand back.
I should be playing.
Oh no, it's disconnected and reconnected again.
I
God
know.
damn it. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's internet problems.
Athletics.
Got
Oh, do we
about.
also all roll it?
Woo!
Wow.
Oh,
I
nice.
River's
I'm taking
good.
the
What else?
22.
What else we got? That is quite a roll.
Yeah, you guys were like cut out for a minute, so like we didn't get any.
You used to roll as well?
Yeah, everyone died.
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
We're literally in a position where rocks could fall and
That's
everyone
true.
could die.
Everyone could die. But no, at the moment that's the case. So you guys are just. I asked everyone for a strength check /
and or
athletics.
Yeah.
Okay. Then
Oh, nice.
Woo!
Wow. All right. So far so good. Actually,
Rollbar
it
being
looks
the
like.
weak part of the chain.
Yeah, Robar's the part of the
Shut up.
water.
It's water.
Rabar, your hands are so sweaty!
It's water, I can't do it. No. I want weakness.
Oh man. Anyway, no, you do manage to reach down, and Inga's at the other end, right?
Yeah.
Is Inga, okay.
Yeah.
So Inga, you reach out and sort of grab, or are you grabbing his wrist like he's just holding onto the rock? Are you?
Well, I'm like trying to reach as far down to his arm as I can.
You can get to his arm. You kind of reach down, and just as he slips, you grab him. So now he's like trailing in the current. You can see that he's pretty much unconscious. He looks like he's lost a lot of blood. So you're holding on to him just.
Pull me up! Pull me up!
All right, we're all pulling.
Okay.
Pull.
Okay. So you manage to pull back to the shore and get him out of the water, and you can see that he is. When you get him back up and you're all sort of freed from your chain, Tawny, you can see that he has a bad stab wound, and it's a stab wound in his back. He was clearly, quite literally, stabbed in the back by you've seen these before, a rusty, sort of serrated blade that looks like it is probably goblin manufacture. And the unfortunate, presumably, Rosen is unconscious.
So I can just grab him by the collar and shake him awake and say, "You've died of tetanus!" No.
I hope you were vaccinated.
Everyone gets vaccinated by wizards in this world. It's fine.
Right, that's right. Yeah. But you can. But he is unconscious, but not a rusty spoon. No, Nonable. Not quite that bad.
Why a spoon?
But you can.
Because it'll hurt more.
He looks like he's in bad shape. But you might be able to save him, Tawny, depending on what you do.
Yeah, I don't care. No, I do. I will go ahead and attempt to make him better.
Is there anything we can do to assist?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not unless you have special knowledge in stab wounds. But otherwise, this is probably your healing.
Special knowledge in
River's like, I'm really good at delivering stab
I can
wounds.
make stab.
I was just gonna say.
Can I stab him in a different spot?
And then just heal
and
that.
balance it out.
Yeah,
Balance him out.
And then I'll heal that part.
Right.
All right, so Tawny.
bloodletting help. No, it won't.
Leeches, there are probably
Yes, exactly.
Oh God. I need a medicine check from you though, Tawny, if you're going to do this.
Okay, I can do that.
He's
Why
dying.
is violent, this guy? Oh, nice.
So 17. Let's see.
This guy's like me. He just touches water and he.
Just immediately, it was the water that stabbed him in the back. The water.
My father.
The knife just came out like, oh my God.
it's like a
You did this to my
mystery.
cousin Anduin. So.
You keep stabbing the Anduin with your face.
Exactly.
Stop.
So sick of knives ending up in my
The final revenge.
Okay. So you think you managed to stabilize him, Tawny. Fortunately, the knife was not poisoned, or at least doesn't look like it was. And so they are both there. And as they do this, you feel a presence behind you, and it is Heartfast, who's come up behind and is looking down. You see some concern on his face, and he says, "What happened?"
Someone stabbed him in the back, presumably goblins.
And he kind of stares around. Goblins. And the other watchman, not Rosen, says, "It's true, my lord. There were 3 of them. They were trying to set fire to the storehouse. We caught them before they could do it, but the bastards jumped up from behind and stabbed Rosen in the back. Then all 3 of them got away while I was trying to help him."
Not all 3 of
Not
them.
all 3.
And Heartfest says, "What do you mean?"
Inga managed to shoot one of them from the ledge.
And he looks up, he says, he looks at you, Inga, with renewed respect, and he says, that's quite a shot.
I got a shot in there too, so. Pretty sure that's 2 of them down.
Hardfast kind of like swivels back to look at you like, really?
Oh yeah. Dark up there, you can't see him, but.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to be clear how lucky that was. Have I revealed my royalty lately to you? Because, oh man. So Hardfast kind of doesn't respond to you, Robar. He just kind of like nods once and then looks back and he says,
Oh, I love how it froze on Will mid-gulp, and it was great. But yeah.
Okay. Well, the Zoom people can still hear me, yes? The Zoom people can still? Okay.
What?
All right, good. That's good. That's good. As long as you folks can.
What?
As long as
We
you
can
folks
hear
can.
something, not full words.
Not full
sentences,
words.
but
Oh boy.
something.
Okay.
Better?
Can
Better?
you guys hear us?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Little bit.
Okay. Well.
So, did what's his face hear what Tawny just said?
No.
I thought not.
No. Okay.
Because
What-
you guys basically were
Yeah. Hotel
was what you
internet.
guys sounded like.
Okay.
So anyway, so what Tawny said was, with regard to the goblin that was shot down, he fell into the river. He's probably washing towards the bridge.
And Hardfast sort of looks at one of the guards nearby, doesn't even have to say anything, and the guard immediately nods and books it down off in the direction of where the river is flowing. And he says, I don't know whether he could have survived a fall like that anyway, but if he does, we'll try to get what information we can from him. And he says, but where did they come from then, the mines? And the watchman shrugs. He says, I don't know, Lord. We only saw them at the last moment. If we hadn't, we wouldn't have much of a storehouse now. And Hardfast kind of looks, just kind of stares down at the watchman, not like glaring at him, but just like stares in general, and then shakes his head.
Studying enough.
And turns back around. Can you still hear me okay?
It says reconnected now. Yeah.
Okay. Can you
You are Arvin Electron right now.
so you heard
Wow.
wow, that's pretty good. You heard any of that?
Wow.
Or no? Did you hear any
We heard like 3 half syllables.
But which ones?
Yeah, was it the good ones?
That was my favorite syllables, I thought.
It was I, and I.
Okay. So, can you hear me now? No. That's clearly a no.
Do you want to type what
Yeah,
happens
a little bit, yeah.
into
Okay.
I was
the?
gonna say, Art, you can tie it to my phone. I've got it on the data. I just didn't have an opportune time to jump in.
Oh.
So if you want to tie it to my phone.
For the last 12 minutes?
Yeah, it's probably not worth it for that time. I mean, as long, but I appreciate the offer though.
No, I was genuinely saying
yeah.
for the last 12 minutes wouldn't be as much of a suck, and we would actually have a solid
That's
connection
fair.
for those.
That's fair. If I can figure out how to do it though, are you able to like?
You just connect to my phone.
Yeah.
As the internet.
Exactly. It's another Wi-Fi signal, so.
Oh, all right, let's do it then.
Which one is it?
You're clearly the Albanian embassy, right?
Yeah.
Are you Island 11E950?
Not me.
Oh.
Are you Halo management? You must be Hidden Network.
Let me just take a look at my Twitter. It should say something.
Can we? Oh, sorry.
Now you've done it.
Are you Ghirardelli 0% cocoa? Which would actually be 60%
Wait, these are no
cocoa, but
No,
part of the
that's
thing
those
of
are no
color.
networks.
Sorry.
Back out of that.
Hang on a second.
Uh,
Turn it off. So there we go. Now it's
Okay. Let's go back. And
Wait,
where?
let me.
I'm just trying to look for this. Oh, there we go. Good. Boink.
All right. So which are you? Izzard, Grey Bridge,
Where is there?
Malcolm?
There should be like a refresh this situation.
I don't know if there is in Windows 8.1. There's, or at least, I don't remember it.
Oh, is this you?
Are you SM?
Show of hands. Who thinks
Okay.
this is going to work?
Here we go.
Connect, let's do it.
What's? Do you wanna?
Now just
Do you
yell
wanna-
out the network security key.
Do you wanna come and type it in?
Is it my password?
It should give it to you in the when it says personal hotspot. But is there
There's no. There we go. Hang on a sec. There we go.
all right.
Do you want?
Go ahead. You can. No, go ahead. Just take the phone.
Yeah.
Just read it out to me.
Cool.
It's my TX.
TXSC 6313.
Oh shoot, am I been on there? Sorry.
Oh.
Let's try it again. Say it again. TX what?
TXSC. Oops, sorry. Sorry, I did that. That was bad. Okay, it's on TXSC 6313.
Okay.
Yeah. Inshallah.
Do I want to find a bit? No. Verify and connect. Okay, connected. That's
Woohoo!
good.
All right, how's that connection?
Now Zoom's back.
Great. Okay.
If there is an image.
All right. Thank you.
You're
All right.
moving.
Is that better?
Is that
Looks
better?
it so far.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're now tethering through the magic of Brahms' phone and unlimited data.
Way!
So hopefully, Rogers, right? We'll get the job done. Oh, it's not Rogers.
Brahms, MVP of the day.
Brahms
Yeah.
MVP. Okay. I don't know whether it's.
I feel like Brahms should get to inspire someone again.
OBS is still giving you.
Yeah, OBS is still giving me grief. I actually mostly care about Zoom.
Yeah, so long as we can talk to each other.
Okay.
We
So
can
thank
hear
you, Brahms. So okay. So the last thing you had heard was just a bunch of half syllables. You said. Did you hear the part about Hardfast sent someone down to like deal with the goblin?
Yes.
Like okay, you heard about
Yep.
that. And then
He's staring down the watchman who.
Oh yes,
who just-
that's right. That's right. Thank you. So he was staring down the watchman, who had just said the thing about I don't know where they came from, but they were going to burn the storehouse, and Hardfast turns, sort of looks up again at the mountains where the goblins came from, and then shakes his head and he says, "I'm going to do a little bit of reconnaissance, looking around. I don't think they're going to try anything further tonight, but I want to speak to you in the morning before you leave. This moves things forward more than I thought they would be." And he kind of turns and shakes his head and walks off. Okay. When the next morning comes, and by the way, the watchman thanks you profusely, including Rosen when he wakes up from it.
Oh, wait. Actually,
Sure.
before we go to sleep, Inge would like ask like whoever is like in charge at that moment, like, can we get our weapons back before we go to bed?
I
I'd
literally
sleep
brought them
much
back
more
for you.
soundly if I had my axe by my side.
Yeah, she brought
Rivers
them back.
already brought you your weapons.
Yep. She
Oh,
went
did
down,
she? Yeah,
went
no,
down to the house.
didn't hear that part.
That was one of those half syllables you didn't hear.
Yeah, no,
That was
the
the
reason
it.
she ran to the warden's house and like got all of the weapons and brought them back.
I see.
But after you had used
Okay.
your own bow to shoot, the other person's bow to shoot. So yeah.
Yes.
So
Never mind. I haven't said anything.
so you do have the weapon,
Yeah.
your weapons.
Okay.
River will introduce Stone to Rosen when he wakes up and say, you know,
Yeah, Rosen.
he's
is
the
like,
one you should thank.
Rosen
So-
is very, very grateful. Stone kind of wags his tail and nuzzles him, so Hardfast. The next morning when you wake up, Hardfast is there waiting for you, and he says, "You have my thanks, and before I bring you to your guide, I would actually," he says, "before I give you something to demonstrate my gratitude for your help last evening, I want to introduce you to this man." And he turns, and behind him is a tall, handsome-looking human. He looks like he's probably a woodman, although he may have a faint tinge of elvish about him. You notice perhaps a slight sort of point in the ears and something about his demeanor. So he sees all of you and steps forward with a big smile. "Hello! I understand that I'm to be your guide this evening for the next several days, and I also understand we have you to thank for not burning up in an inferno down here." And he sort of smiles at you, and he says, "Magric," and he holds out his hands to whoever's in front first. So,
Well, River will shake his hand and once again introduce everyone as has been her wont. So.
and he says, "Good, it is a pleasure. I will do what I can to be as good a guide as I can be. Perhaps a better guide than a jokester. Hey, Hardfast?" And Hardfast just is like, doesn't say anything. Hardfast is not of the joking humor. And Magric says, "I'm sorry, you're right. Not the best time to bring it up. I understand that Magric has something he wants to show you. I'll be waiting by the bridge when you're ready to leave. I have supplies, at least basic supplies for us, but if you have other things you'd like to bring, of course, that's your prerogative. But I'll be down there whenever you're ready. At your pleasure, masters." And he kind of bows slightly, and heads off down to the bridge. And Hartfast says, as he sort of watches him go, and he says, "He's good enough. A little bit too much of a smile and a joke for my taste. But perhaps that may be of some value to you
no
on
kidding.
this journey to come." And he says, "I'd like it if all of you could come with me, and him as well." And he nods down to Stone. And he turns without noticing whether you actually were going to say anything. And he brings you up and around this area right here. So he brings you up this little zigzag path that you see, up to this building. And as I mentioned, this is up above the sort of limits of the mount of the roof of the cavern in which you were. So he brings you up there, and there is at the very top of this a stone tower, roughly about there, which is a tall, sort of thin tower. And as he comes up to the door, he unlocks it with a great iron key, and then leads you inside it. And there's basically like a spiral staircase. Imagine being inside like a lighthouse. A spiral staircase which leads to the very top. And he opens this door, this small door at the top, and then he says, "What I'm about to show you is something we do not show to all, especially not to outsiders. But after what you did yesterday, not only in the saving of Rosen, but also in the killing of that goblin, I believe you have earned this." And he squeezes through the door, and assuming you all follow, you see on the top of this stand an enormous horn. It looks really like almost a tooth that has been shaped into a horn. And it is wrought with images that have been carved by the hands of many skilled craftsmen. And on one end of it, you see this enormous mouthpiece that basically is this huge thing that eventually, little tube kind of ends up down here where you could actually blow it. And he says, "This is the Horn of Warning. It is one of the Mountain Hall's greatest secrets. It was carved from the tusk of a cold drake, an ancient dragon from eons ago. And so long as the Horn of Warning is beheld, it is said that you will be able to hear its sound if they are within sight of the Misty Mountains. If this horn should ever sound, you will know that our danger is upon us. Those who hear the horn and have not been treated to its sight will not understand the significance of this. I have, as it were, asked to bind you to the service of this place. It is not something you need accept, but it is an honor that we have very rarely given outsiders. I do this, for I wish you to know your connection to Mountain Hall. And if you do this, then I would make Mountain Hall available to you in the future as a place of respite and refuge if you so desired. The choice is yours." And this thing is, like dramatic, to say the least.
River.
Can I get like a history check or something to like learn more about
Sure.
this thing?
Sure.
Yeah. Get any bonuses for that, but-
Yeah, did he just make this up? Like, is this just like a...
The audience making their own
Yeah.
their own insight check.
Yeah, the audience is like, come on now, really?
Can I make that same history
Sure.
check? Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like you're pretty confident it's a horn, Inga. Pretty comfortable that it's a horn. No, you have not heard of this horn before. And you certainly never heard the horn either.
Nah.
You're like, horns,
History.
Yeah.
They're all. Gobble had one.
It just means that Slotty Bard Fox, whatever the fuck his name is, he's right. No one has seen this thing.
That's right.
And outsiders don't know about it.
Yeah,
That's
exactly, exactly.
Robar, did you ask me if you wanted to do something or not? Was that just...
No.
Okay, I was just making sure.
Okay.
So he, you don't know, but the fact that he's giving you suggests that this is a place that is not usually shown, and it doesn't have a lot of room for it. Like, you all are just barely able to fit inside this place.
River is deeply, deeply moved and looks at Heartfast, looks at the horn with tremendous wonder, and super wants to touch it, but obviously will not. But in fact, I think probably she's just like enchanted by it and but will not. But turns to Heartfast and says, "I have no words to speak of how honored I feel. I accept."
He nods once and he looks at all of the rest of you.
Yeah, Inga's kind of awestruck by like this beautiful
Yeah.
piece of work in front of her, and she's just like, yeah, sure. Just can't keep her eyes off the horn.
He nods at you and then he looks at Robar.
I accept, my lord. Thank you.
He nods and last he looks at you, Tawny.
And Tawny's just nodding silently.
Okay. And he says, "Very well. In that case," he looks down at you, Inga, and he says, "Oh, actually, I beg your pardon. Before he does that, he says, he bends down. And he says very seriously to Stone, he says, I believe you will serve your mistress in this matter. If she is bound to it, so are you." And Stone's like,
Stone, if I may, Stone will totally lick his face.
Okay, I was gonna say, I had this image of Stone being like, Stone's like, "I'm out," you know. Stone's like, "Look."
Stone likes hunting horns, or
Yeah.
horns in general.
He says, so he says, "Normally when this horn is blown, it will indicate, as I said, danger. But there is one exception. Before you go on this journey, I want it to be made clear to those who are attacking us, including the goblins, what they are dealing with." And he bends down to you, Inga, and he says, "You in particular, I would wish this honor for. Blow this horn, sound the warning. Let them know that the mountain hall is awake."
Like now?
Yeah, he's like,
Like, Inga's just like,
he nods. He nods, yeah. He wants them to
like,
send.
takes a second to
He
like,
wants a
gather
message
herself and then,
sent.
like,
Yeah.
Yep.
and then
I like nudge Inga, like, now.
Not a time is no.
yeah, then she like steps up to the mouthpiece and
River wondering if
there's a guy.
Radagast was ever bound to the service of Mountain Hall.
Yeah, exactly. You blow this horn, and there is kind of a, at first, you need to actually like really put your lungs into it. But as you blow it, you hear kind of this, and then as the air passes through, like this huge rumbling sound. And as you look, you can actually see, because of course the horn is up above and you're looking out, you can see, it feels almost as if the trees are bending below. It's probably not the case, but it looks as if down way below the trees are swaying, the wind blows by, and as the great warning horn of Mountain Hall sounds, you feel this sort of rumbling effect underneath you. And as you finish with that burst of air, Inga, and you sort of take your mouth from it, Heartfast looks down for the first time, the slightest bit maybe of a smile on the edge of his lips, and he says, "Good. Now they know we are coming." And that, I think, is where we will bring this session to a close. I am super sorry for the incredible amount of technical problems on the stream side, but at least we got this recorded, so it'll look good on the VODs. So I'm really thankful to Twitch Chat and everyone else for hanging out. Also for the remaining audience members, thank you.
You stuck with us to the end.
Thank you for
You guys
staying
are
with
the
us to the
best.
end. I'll give these folks the last chance to say where you can find them and stuff like that, and I will start with Amal, which is my great pleasure to play live with today.
This was so much fun.
It was tons of fun.
I'm
I'm sorry about all the tech stuff, but hey.
It's brought us closer together. I now
Exactly.
feel like the magician has revealed some of his secrets, and
Yeah.
it's super amazing and cool, and there are so many tabs, and I got to touch the book that is bringing all this doom on us, so that's kind of awesome.
Indeed.
Uh,
Twice,
Several
actually.
times this Lore Master has just left it lying open on the
I
seat.
have
where
trust
I
and
was
faith in people, okay?
So
I don't like grimdark.
Yeah, aw, you're so great. So, yeah, I deeply enjoyed that. I thought it was wonderful, and Mountain Hall is a really cool place, and I'm delighted by getting to see like Inga take that amazing shot and stuff and things.
Which, if I may jump into 1 second, by the way, Terry, that shot, if you had, I normally wouldn't say this, but just because I wanted you to feel really good about this, you had to stay up late, but you would not have been allowed to see that horn if you had not killed that goblin. So
Nice.
your shot made that possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
super, like, I was totally going to say, wait, is it a 1 in a million shot? Because that is
Pretty
like,
damn close.
yeah, the order of the stick thing. I was so happy that Stone making a roll actually
That
worked.
was really cool, yeah.
As well,
Yeah.
and Rosen got saved and stuff. So, it was really, really great. I love when the rolls are not just for battle, but for like all sorts of other stuff, and it's really cool. So I super enjoyed that. People can find me. I am very soon to go to teach at Viable Paradise, which is a workshop on Martha's Vineyard. Where I will make sure to ignore Alan Dershowitz, like everyone else. And anyway, so I'm going to be there from assuming I can cross the border, from the 19th to the 28th of October. And beyond that, my gosh, that's my year's travels are drawing to a close. There's
World Fantasy or no?
No, I'm not going to World Fantasy. Sadly, there's just November so far is the only month that has only one thing in it right now, which is a guest coming to visit, actually like right during World Fantasy. So that won't work. But I wish everyone a great time at World Fantasy. But yeah, so I won't be, I think, available to the wider world for a little while, but you can keep up with me on Twitter at Tithenai, Tithenai. You can subscribe to my drip, which is d.rip/amal-l-muhtar. I think I'll put it in the chat later maybe. And you can keep up with me on my website and stuff as well. It's just myname.com. And yeah, I've got a bunch of reviews and columns coming out in the next little while, so you can, follow my column in the Times or my NPR reviews, which are going to be coming fast and furious because NPR is putting together its concierge situation where they recommend a whole bunch of books very quickly. So yeah, I think that's mostly it for now. Until next time on the chat.
Until next time on the chat.
Yes.
All right, let's see if we can actually get Zoom back for enough time to be able to do this.
Well, I was saying into the camera.
I know.
Oh no, your phone is connected. Oh, what? See, as if my phone is a mouse. Your phone turned it off?
Yeah, well, that turned off. I'm like, why?
Oh no, did it use too much?
That should be okay.
There we go.
Okay.
That was a
So
My love.
yeah, there you go. Wait, did Will leave?
He had to, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, well that's
Weakling, Tari's still here.
yeah, exactly.
No,
okay.
she's not. She's gone. she's just gone.
Well, as I said, it was great. Mel, I really enjoyed this. Thank you, and I look forward to next month as well. It'll be good times.
Yes.
Okay, Terry, thank you for sticking with us the whole time, and even though it was super late, thank you. But you did get to make a ridiculous
It's late,
shot.
it's early. It's 4:40 in the morning.
Yeah, it's early.
I really hope you don't have anything like scheduled. Do you have anything scheduled for tomorrow?
What?
Lazy Sunday, right? It'll be like nice lazy
What?
Sunday.
No, I'm gonna. What? What was the question for?
You.
For me? I have things to do tomorrow.
No, I'm so sorry.
Yes.
No, it's like at noon and then like I go somewhere in the evening.
Okay, sleep till 11:30.
No, that's a bit too late. I have to be somewhere at 12.
Teleport.
Oh.
Oh yeah, teleportation. Teleportation. What's
Doctor Who is gonna air tomorrow,
That's
so
lit. Oh,
you know.
that's yeah.
Yes, I can watch that live actually. That's so nice because like, because I'm gonna go to my boyfriend's place tomorrow and gonna stay the whole weekend. Like, and in the Netherlands, I can get like all the channels from the UK,
Yay!
which is so great. So I can watch Doctor Who like directly while it's airing.
Oh my
That is the
gosh.
best thing.
I was so happy with the first episode.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Terry, how'd you feel about today,
That's
and where can the fine people find you next?
It was surprisingly fun. I thought I would be like completely useless today. I was only slightly useless. So I hope I.
You were
was
the
not,
most valuable player.
You weren't useless when you hit that shot.
Mm-hmm.
No. Brahms was the most valuable player.
Brahms was a very valuable player. I do not
Yes.
deny that.
He's VVP, you're MVP.
Oh, sweet. So, yeah, like, also, like, where can people find me, I guess? Yeah, like, on, like, all of these social medias, Tumblr, DeviantArt, Tunes Up, technically on Facebook, but I haven't updated my Facebook in a while now.
Don't.
Yeah, don't bother.
Yeah, I know, because, like, Facebook is kind of dead, but, like, it's a problem that, like, because I'm German, and, like, Germans really like using Facebook, and Germans really don't like Instagram and Twitter and all those things, but, like, I really prefer Instagram and Twitter and Tumblr to like
Yeah.
Facebook. But
Are you on Instagram? I don't have you on Instagram.
I am on Instagram. So like, but yeah, like my name is Tari Toons everywhere.
Okay.
That's
I'm gonna find you on Instagram.
Taritoons. And so yeah, if you want to see more of my art stuffs, then you can do that there. I can see like all the like illustrations I made like for this group here. They are like also like the old ones, like larger resolution and stuff like that. So yes, please go check that out. And I'm gonna go to bed now and sleep for a year.
I followed you on Instagram.
Yay! Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. You will see Terry, of course, back on my channel, not only as part of this session, which I will, by the way, double check with you folks about next month. I know we were already talking about setting up for that, so I'll talk to you folks about next month. But you'll see Terry on for the second half of her Sagard the Barbarian live illustration stream. So we'll have more barbarians coming next month, and a lot of Crom. So we'll get a lot of that. But thank you, Terry. Always a pleasure, and thank you for staying up late with us. Will, of course, and Will, of course, did a great job. It was a lot of fun to have Will back. Will, of course, plays with Encounter Roleplay, which he runs, as he said, on his Twitch channel. You should check him out there, and you will see him back with us again as well next month as we move forward and continue. Last but certainly not least, someone who probably
Let me go.
Yep, that's right. Good night, Terry. Good night.
Bye.
Last person, of course, is Tren. Tren, at least now you're like, oh, that's not that bad. It's like a regular time of night, time of day. It's not crazy, So evening for you out in Cali. How'd you feel about stuff today, Tren?
It was a little bit, well, I mean, for one, I don't have a normal sleep schedule, so to say that it was, a normal time, it's like when we were talking to Tari about it earlier, she was like, yeah, but you're staying up. It's like, I don't have a normal sleep schedule. For me, this is still kind of staying up late.
Okay.
And I would normally, it's 7:48 right now, I would probably have woken up from one of my 3 attempts to sleep during the day, probably about 2 or 3 hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this shattered sleep schedule that just, you never get one big block that is refreshing. Never mind. So, how did I feel about the thing with good. I enjoyed the fact that I was able to just kind of sit back and to be quiet and try desperately to hear what you guys were saying. Because a lot of it was completely roboted out. To say that it was roboted out, that doesn't sound right, because roboting out, I can still kind of make out what's being said. I mean, I was literally getting like every 6th syllable, and only 1 out of every 6 syllables.
It's funny because when you were connected to us, when you guys were connected to us, we could hear you pretty much the whole time. Like,
you guys never went robotic on us. Like, we could always hear what you were saying, and
so it was just the other direction.
I'm so sorry it wasn't reciprocal.
Yeah. You'll see it all in the VOD. Is basically what you'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. But so where will the fine people see you next?
Here.
Yes.
On this channel on Arvan Electron, but not not robot-y or anything at all.
No, that'll be back to my internet that I know exists and is a thing. So yes,
and works. Where I will be continuing to play Weller Pale, and this guy up here and I really need to talk about Weller stuff and Weller stuff, because there's two Wellers technically.
Yes.
One of which lives in a bottle.
Yes.
And and yeah, it's gonna be interesting because Weller's getting a little bit angry. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. And he has one big question that he needs to ask everybody before we really get started on the next game.
Yes.
Yeah, before we do the thing, before we open up the chain and the thing and go, just one big question he needs to ask before we really,
Relating to lycanthropes, maybe?
No.
Oh.
I thought it was going to be
Okay. Yeah. I look forward to seeing that. It's going to be a good time. And by the way, for those of you who didn't see this announcement before, but on Tuesday you'll want to be there during my regular stream at 12 o'clock, because we will not have AME on that day, but we may have a little bit of, there may be some conversation going on with a certain member who is returning to Infinity and Beyond more actively. There may be something going on with him on Tuesday, so you might want to not miss that, he said, secretly. But in any case, Trent, thank you very much.
Not so secretly, since everyone heard you say it.
Well, I mean, like vaguely, he said vaguely. But thank you,
yes.
Trent. It was a pleasure as always, and I'm sorry again that the tech problems, but thank you for sticking with them, and I will talk to you next week when I see you.
Okay.
All right. Bye, Trent. For now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And that means that's going to be it for us as well. So thank you, everybody out there in the internet lands. Thank you again, Amal.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you, audience, again.
Woo,
and,
audience! Thank you!
Thank you. And that is going to be it for us. I will be back on my stream Tuesday, so I will see all of you then. Until then, sorry for all the tech problems. Thanks all my folks, Twitch folks, and I will see all of you later. Bye for now.
Bye. Both gazing off into the west.
Yeah, exactly. As the stream stops and then the recording
stops.
stops next.
Great.
Once we do that, just in a minute. Maybe. Now I want the stream to stop. Now, of course. It's like, no.
Oh, you can turn off the internet, I guess. Or
Well,
you
no,
can
don't
stop
do that.
recording, no.